Hey, you gotta love it. Well, thank you, and thank you for all the people that are moving over from MindSpot, our show out of Lagos, Nigeria, that just ended, and we're starting our Med Friday, which we're going to look at today. We have some special guest physicians in the room. We're going to be talking about medical issues, probably a little bit about coronavirus. But before we get into that, we want to get our daily dose of Washington, D.C. and the Washington Report.
Let me just go around the horn. I want to say good morning, good morning, good morning, good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, and Kimberly?
Good night.
Good night. Yeah. Well, good night. Well, we don't want the people in Malaysia to leave already. Wait a minute. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, okay, it's 10 o'clock at night in Malaysia. So the people in Malaysia and Bangladesh and Thailand who are watching us, we know it's late. I think it's like 11 o'clock in certain parts of Australia. But they stay up late over there and they watch the show. So we don't want them to leave. Don't leave. Yeah. Okay. But we can do Washington reports because this way you get a feed other than Fox News, which apparently is all they watch over in Australia because they don't get anything else.
Okay.
I don't know if you know that. They get IBM TV and Fox News. That's about it. So do you want to do your Washington report?
Yes, please. By all means, let her roll. From IBM TV, International Broadcast Media, this is your report from Washington. 18 days and counting. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. That best describes the two starkly different views of America at dueling town halls last night. Trump continued to downplay the COVID crisis and said, without evidence, that ballots with his name on them had been found in the garbage cans. He refused to condemn QAnon, the false conspiracy theory linking Democratic leaders with a satanic pedophile ring. When asked about his recent retweet of a claim that Osama bin Laden isn't actually dead, he said, quote, people can decide for themselves. The moderator clashed with Trump and told him his claims actually sounded like, quote, somebody's crazy uncle, end quote. Finally, someone said out loud what the world has been thinking. Biden, on the other hand, discussed policies aimed at helping Black Americans. Biden discussed why presidential leadership is so important, saying, quote, the president's words matter, end quote. Biden carefully answered all the non-scripted questions from the audience and then stayed after the town hall ended to answer more questions. Biden didn't clarify his position on the push by some progressives to add seats to the Supreme Court, a notion known as court packing, but he said he would do so before the election. 17 million Americans have voted so far, a clear sign that American minds are made up and the people are fed up. Next, the COVID pandemic. The U.S. is averaging more than 50,000 new infections a day, a sign that the difficult winter is already upon us. Global cases have climbed to more than 330,000 per day. Newly confirmed infections are hitting Germany, the Czech Republic, Italy, and Poland, and most of the rest of the continent is seeing similar spikes. In the United States, new cases per day are on the rise in 44 states, with the biggest surges in the Midwest and Great Plains. Deaths per day here are climbing in 30 states. Separately, the Islamic Republic of Iran is confronting a new surge of infections that is filling its hospitals and cemeteries. Tehran has run out of ICU beds, and the country's single-day death toll hit a record high 3 times this week. Authorities appear unable to prevent its spread. In China, authorities have completed tests on more than 10 million people in the Chinese port city of Qingdao. Testing is set to continue to cover 11 million more people. Meanwhile, a global study by the World Health Organization concluded that remdesivir has little to no effect on the recovery of hospitalized COVID patients. And now, the American COVID relief package. Senator Mitch McConnell has all but quashed the Trump administration hoped for a big stimulus proposal before the election day. McConnell said he would not consider any stimulus package over $1.8 trillion. The ongoing stalemate is pushing more people into poverty. Measures in the early days of the pandemic helped bring the poverty rate down. However, continued economic woes have brought the rate up to 11.1%. Additionally, 898,000 Americans filed for the first time unemployment benefits last week. In world news, trade talks between the UK and EU didn't go anywhere this week. The EU has offered to continue talks, but the UK may decide to walk away from the table instead. Such a move could cost the UK's economy $25 billion next year alone. Elsewhere, across the developing world, 2 decades of hard-fought gains against child labor are eroding. With classrooms closed and parents losing their jobs, reading, writing, and times tables are giving way to sweat blisters and fading hopes for a better life. Instead of going to school, children in Kenya are grinding rocks in quarries. Tens of thousands of children in India have poured into farm fields and factories. Across Latin America, kids are making bricks and building furniture and clearing brush. In our war report, the fighting between Armenian and Azerbaijani forces rages on. Tonight, on a special edition of American Politics, we discuss the collateral consequences of this war on the United States. That's 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on IBM TV. In a sign of the times, while Dr. Fauci has called for canceling Christmas, people are already looking to celebrate. Some plan to cook the traditional Thanksgiving feast and ship the meals to family and friends. Others are holding early Christmas so they can be with elderly parents outdoor. Elsewhere, the price of cabbage is skyrocketing upon a Fox News report that stated eating cabbage may prevent COVID-19 infections. I leave it to you to consider the source. Finally, the current COVID death toll from Johns Hopkins is over 217,717 American souls lost and 1,098,982 global souls lost with no vaccine in sight. That is your report for October 16, 2020 from IBM TV, International Broadcast Media, smart television for a smarter global community from dictatorships to democracies around the world. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. I'm Bill Tresevault.
Oh, no.
Oh, wow.
Fauci and I are going to have a talk. You cannot cancel Christmas. Christmas is in the heart. Christmas is in the soul. So no, Mr. Fauci.
I think he meant canceling Thanksgiving, so we can cancel it.
He said we should cancel that Christmas was in doubt. That
I would agree.
How can you?
I would agree. Santa Claus is going to be coming in with a mask.
Well,
and he needs to be socially distanced, which he is. But
well, you know what? He forgot to tell the stores because they already stocked for Christmas. They stocked Christmas before Halloween. So the stores are already stocked up for Christmas. So, but you can't cancel something that is spiritual and in the heart. So I'm just, we need to get the Grinch.
He's my favorite.
And we need Dr. Fauci's face there
my
going,
favorite, along with Mr. Scrooge. But maybe we should bring in our international guest since we are international television. Let's bring in from Canada and Russia. We have Sasha Starr, who's the head of Investing with Sasha. Welcome to the show. And he also lives in Canada, so he can give a more international perspective. That was good. And then let's go to another country. We have Hong Kong, which is mainland China now. Rakesh, welcome to the show. Okay, but even though China is a big country, we have another big country that's out there that has billions of people. And we have Ms. Kumar. Welcome to the show. Representing the great country of India, the great country of China, and the somewhat great country of Canada. And then also we have our special guest, a medical doctor, a graduate of Harvard Medical School, who may have some opinions on remdesivir and other things. Our special guest for today is Dr. David Moskowitz. David Moskowitz, welcome to our international show. And the panel, of course, is going to have a lot of questions relating to this, I think, COVID-19 or coronavirus. So apparently it's got the world's attention. I have the world here. Listen, I got the world here. I got a couple people from the U.S., India, China, Russia, Canada. They're all here to listen to you to figure out how are we going to solve this COVID-19 thing. And I think Bill had a question relating to my favorite company, Madeira Group, and the stock of Madeira Group. What was that question relating to that, Bill?
I think it was the once touted, highly publicized remdesivir. And after all of the hullabaloo, it apparently is as effective as drinking bleach. Dr. Moskowitz, can you shed some light on this for our audience?
Well, Bill, I have to say I love your reports. I can't stop laughing to one sentence when you're already on to the next. You have an incredible sense of humor. Bleach, I think, would probably be worse than remdesivir, but it would certainly be a whole lot cheaper. I think, remdesivir, all the things that were touted at the beginning of COVID-19, hydroxychloroquine, azithromycin, remdesivir, have proved not to be helpful. The only thing useful is dexamethasone and standard asthma treatment, but it doesn't work all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And in my experience, what was even better than dexamethasone and anti-asthma drugs was a simple over-the-counter compound. Get ready for it, Nick. Quercetin.
Oh, quercetin.
Nick,
I want people to know.
Yes, yes.
You know, I was thinking it's almost like when they founded what was it, penicillin? It was mold that grew on a bread. I mean, it was sitting. The answer is right in front of you, and we all like missed it. And so the thing is, I had to get my when I looked into it, I said I got to get my bottle of quercetin because shoot, that
you
might
need
be
to
the answer.
ask. So, Dr. Moskowitz, you know, it's not just taking the quercetin; it's properly taking it. There are several things that people should know because you just don't take it until you just start feeling better. Either you should take it a little longer than that. But the dosage is very important, and I want Dr. Moskowitz to explain it because one of my friends right now is suffering, and she doesn't have the money. She's a single mom, no job right now, and she can't get the medical care she needs. And so I want her to hear what you have to say about quercetin and just something that she could try.
Well, so it depends a bit. It depends a bit what her symptoms are, but if they're mild, if they're just runny nose, that sort of degree of anxiety, then she can try 500 milligrams twice a day of quercetin. Costs about $25 for a bottle of 100 capsules. But if she has anything approaching shortness of breath, pain with each breath, burning in her chest with each breath, that's much more serious and suggests that her lungs are involved. And that can quickly escalate to having to be on a ventilator and dying. And if that's the case, as you say, the dose is really important. And instead of wasting a day at 500 twice a day, she should go up to 1,000 milligrams twice a day, a full gram twice a day. And then every day that her symptoms remain, continue doubling the dose. So if it doesn't go away on a gram twice a day, which it did in most of my patients, then go up to 2 grams twice a day. And if that doesn't do the trick, which it actually did for everybody else, then go up even further, 3 or even 4 grams twice a day.
So thank you so much. Because there are millions of more people just like her right now who are in that, can't get help. They're not like Trump where they can just medical staff there and they can give her everything she needs at no cost. So thank you for sharing that.
Kimberly? Look, I had Dr. Moskowitz. I had a quick question, and that was this: is that given the new report from the WHO last week when we were discussing Trump's condition, and you went through, you essentially said that what his treatment consisted of, I think you said, quote, it was a shotgun, and I thought that was a drug. You meant the approach, more like buckshot, and so they threw everything at him. Now, what is it that with this report and then the other item, the other earlier solutions that apparently are not helpful, then what was it that Trump would have been prescribed that would have helped him recover so quickly?
Right. Well, I think it's pretty clear that he had respiratory symptoms. His O2 sat dropped below 90 on 2 occasions. And I think what helped him had to be dexamethasone.
That's the steroid drug, correct?
The steroid, yeah, that everybody has access to if they have a doctor.
Oh, well, does that steroid produce what some people have said roid rage is the common term used?
It can lead to roid rage. Yep.
Okay.
It doesn't usually.
Okay. Well, if you could explain for our audience, I mean, let's say I am sick and I come and I'm feeling these things. I start with quercetin, but if I don't have that, I go to my doctor and I ask for the steroids. What should I be thinking, or what should I be doing at that point?
Well, you can wait a little bit before you get enraged. The problem is we're still not really sorted out in terms of how we treat this thing. And as we go into flu season, it's going to become obvious that depending on which doctor you go to will determine what you get. And if you have a fixed idea in mind of what you should be taking, then you will get mad. It may not be due to the steroid. It may just be to your preconceptions. If I had COVID symptoms this fall, I would probably on my own buy quercetin and take it before I even rang up my doctor, because odds are good that your doctor, and I know mine, will have no idea about quercetin. And I'm not going to get quercetin from my doctor. I'll hear about it from Twitter or shows like this, but I'm not going to hear about it from my doctor because it has not been embraced by healthcare. Healthcare is still talking about a vaccine, and the political sphere is talking about a vaccine, and useful stuff like quercetin is not being breathed about on regular TV. Mm-hmm. So I think we're all on our own with flu, and we're on our own still with COVID. And I think it's going to be guerrilla spreading of the word this fall to take quercetin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I agree with you. I actually, for the people who are listening on IBM TV, if you want to learn more, you just type in your search engine quercetin COVID-19. And the studies are starting to come out, and every ones that I've read through, I scanned pretty quickly from University of Virginia to Montreal, et cetera. It is what the IBM TV safe answer to the treatment of COVID-19. In other words, everything I've seen, Dr. Moskowitz supports the positive aspects of quercetin. And it's almost like there's no negatives. You have all upside, no downside in quercetin. And so the thing is, it seems to me is something that people should seriously look at. When you first brought this up on our show, since you were like a pioneer in this area, and my wife may have had it, she tested negative, but the minute she got that, I was going, what am I going to do? In other words, I'm next. And then the treatments were all across the board. Everybody was running around except you. You were saying quercetin. I was going, well, I'll go look it up. And it showed up at IBM Summit, which is their big supercomputer in Knoxville, to be the top 10. I think it was ranked number 7 as potential treatments for COVID-19. So I ran out and I said, well, how can you lose? So I bought my quercetin. I haven't had to use it yet, but I bought it. And still, even when you said that, the studies haven't started coming out. Now they're starting to come out. And everything I see so far is positive right now. And the thing is, I think what's going to happen is more and more people are going to start looking at it. The studies are coming out more positive. But then there's a financial aspect to it. Let's say this is a treatment. How do people make money off of this treatment? In other words, the big pharma, if this is a treatment for, how does big pharma make any money off of this?
Well, Sasha may know better than me, or Rakesh. I don't know. I honestly don't know the business model for cheap, effective healthcare. And I've been knocking my head against the wall for over 25 years. I've got cheap treatments to prevent dialysis, to delay emphysema. I don't know how to deliver it to the people who want it.
I know in New Zealand you have an agency called Pharmac, and I personally think they would be very interested in quercetin. I was planning to take it up with my own GP, to end up. It's PHARMAC. Yeah, it's part of the Ministry of Health, and they buy medicines en masse based on what is not produced in New Zealand. because quercetin is fruit-based, I think it can be produced in New Zealand and will be looked at seriously by the government for export. Because we have a lot of berries and stuff that grow in New Zealand. I think that it is something when it comes from a government and is purchased by Pharmac itself. I think that will stand in good stead to spread it, to other countries, more notably Australia, and because it's close to New Zealand, perhaps even China, because New Zealand has a free trade deal with China.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what I'm looking at, again, more of an economic standpoint of our medical delivery system, Dr. Moskowitz. In other words, okay, so let's say that you were one of the first people who pioneered, hey, this is a possible treatment. Then it starts hitting, because I'm already starting to see it hit the mainstream, the studies are starting to come out positive. Then sooner or later, after we kill another 200,000 people, of course, they go, oh yeah, this thing works. And then what Dr. Moskowitz gets out of this, thank you, Dr. Moskowitz, right? But if you were wrong, hell, fire, damnation, torpedoes. You see what I mean? In other words, what barrel center can we put in? But the thing is, again, the way I look at it, the downside is nothing. In other words, the upside is tremendous. So I go, well, what can you lose by doing it?
And more importantly, it's simple, it's straight, it's something people can understand, and they can look up and verify it on their own. And at the end of the day, Nick, you're absolutely correct. It's no different than the simple discovery of penicillin and all the official aspects. It's just, it really is mind-boggling, Dr. Moskowitz.
Well, it's mind-boggling, but also here's a practical thing, Bill. There will probably be 200,000 people who will die in the next couple months that have no information and don't even know that this stuff exists as a possible treatment. In other words, we're going to kill off another and that's just in the United States, kill off another 200,000 people, worldwide even greater. But remember, it was IBM TV who said that this thing was going to explode. And when it was 2000, we made a prediction it was going to be 200,000. By September, we hit that number, right? Okay. And now the thing is, we also predicted treatments would come before the vaccine, right? In other words, because the thing is, it's a natural evolution. And then the vaccines, they're really tough because how do you do a vaccine study, a long-term vaccine study, long-term effect vaccine study in a year? You can't. It's impossible. And to me, some of this is empirically just obvious. And then the thing is, when you look at mainstream media, whatever the heck they are, they're blah, 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 and nothing, Yeah,
look. They generated a lot of noise. And, Nick, I just kind of want to cut through and then see what the rest of the panel thinks. But look, the upswell of anger that I feel is essentially this. Let's just do it this way. I know with the Washington Report, I do the countdown. And yeah, there's a piece of that, 18 days left till the election. Here's the other countdown, or the count up. And that is to say that they expect, currently we're at about 217,000. They expect that within the next 18 days, by the time we get to November 3rd, that 217,000 number will be 240,000. So that's about 25,000 people in the next 18 days. And that's the real count up. And so the upswell of anger that I feel about the whole notion is that you have on all the other networks, you have that chattering class, and they add no substantive value to the discussion. You could sit there and watch a news program for like an hour, and you know what you'll walk away with? You'll walk away with, Trump didn't condemn QAnon. How about, hey, what about quercetin, the other Q that we're talking about? Okay, or you'll hear that Trump is fighting about his taxes and whether he owes whatever. And it's like, what about saving the 25,000 lives that we could start to do right now, or even this? And I know Dr. Moskowitz, you and I might differ on this one, but some people have suggested that if all Americans wore their masks for at least 30 days, we could see a substantial downturn in the spread of the virus. And it's something as simple as that. We've got the president saying one thing, go run around, and then we've seen the effect. Now, Nick, I want to point out to you earlier in one of our prior programs when the Sturgis motorcycle event was going on, and you said then, watch what happens after all of those free, lovely, red-blooded Americans go back to the Midwest. And where do we have the outbreaks? Across the Great Plains and the Midwest, 44 states.
Sure.
It is criminal, but don't mind me. I'm just angry. But, I don't know. We'll see how the rest of the world thinks.
Right. Well, social distancing, I mean, this is my opinion, social distancing will work against a virus. If you isolate yourself like I do in a room, and I don't talk to anybody except on IBM TV, hey, the odds of me getting infected are pretty poor, right?
Right.
So the more you put things roadblocks ahead of this, the better chance that you have of solving the problem. So the minute they said, hey, we're going to open up the schools, wrong. Hey, we're going to bring everybody together, open up the restaurants, everything they did in Florida. If you want to defeat this virus, you're vigilant about it, and you do everything that you can, and then you look for the treatment. Well, let's say this is the treatment, because I don't know if they did studies once you get to 85 years old, whether this is going to help you or not. I have no clue. But the thing is, if it is a treatment, then the thing is you actually have a solution to the problem. But let's say, but the good news about this, it can't hurt. It's like buying a stock that only can go one way. It can help you. It can never hurt you.
No, Nick, you're absolutely right. But, I want to go back to Dr. Moskowitz just for 1 second, and that is this, Dr. Moskowitz. Earlier, when we were discussing this matter before, and it seems to be coming true, your insightful comment said essentially that all of these proposed vaccines now, that essentially they were worthless. And now what we see that 4 major studies have run into problems and been halted because they're experiencing what they are calling, in some of the cases, quote unquote, unexplained illnesses. That means side effects. That means people are getting really screwed up with the things that they're putting in. I want to ask you, now that 4 vaccines have been put on hold, I am not convinced that a vaccine is going to be around anytime before mid next year. But Dr. Moskowitz, I'd like to hear from you, because 4 vaccines are down the tubes and on hold. Nobody's talking about the right Q, quercetin, rather than QAnon. And you're here as a clarion voice with a singular platform. And I'd like to hear from you about what you think the rest of these vaccines are doing.
Well, the fact that 4 of the vaccines are being halted because of weird diseases like transverse myelitis, which is as if somebody cut you across your spinal cord and left you paralyzed, suggests to me that targeting the spike protein on the virus is targeting something similar on the host's own body. In other words, that in the human spinal cord there exists a protein that's like the spike protein of the virus. I think it's extremely interesting. And these are because the system is so complex. Viruses may be simple, but the human body is so complex. You can never be sure of what you're producing. And the virologists may think they know what's going on, but when they mix their vaccine with actual human beings, they get all kinds of off-target effects or side effects because the system is so complicated, it can't be predicted. And that's why you cannot have a safe vaccine in under 4 years, because you need to keep trying it in ever larger populations to find these rare effects, which are by definition stuff that, they occur in 1 in 40,000, and you can't see it at 1 in 400.
Okay, so, listen, what I'd like to do is I'd like to get everyone else involved. Let's start with Coach Kumar. Having heard all of this, what are your thoughts, Coach?
So what I think, Bill, is everyone, if they start taking the responsibilities, as you were saying, that if everyone starts wearing the mask, follow the physical distancing, and the regulations which are imposed by the government, if we start doing that, and if we turn towards the nature for the treatment, I think it's gonna help us in a longer term. And just do not rely on the vaccine, because as doctor is also saying, there's a lot of trial and error going on right now. Like I also read that in news in Russia, they had to the vaccine which they used didn't work well, and it has to be withdrawn. In India also, I think they have stopped the trial for now, or they said that we're gonna get you something on this by December. So we have to wait for another news to come for next 2 months. After 2 months, we'll get some news on the vaccine, what's happening in India on the testing front. So if we follow all these things, and I'm like very scared for India, because from tomorrow, there's a festival season is starting for us.
Oh, okay.
So tomorrow there's something called Navratri, where we pray Lord Durga, and that is that's a 9-day festival where they come together, they have a fair, they dance together, and a lot of in short, you can say there's nothing, and that's the biggest threat to the social distancing thing.
Okay.
After that, we have another festival coming up. So if we all follow all the rules and regulations that we have to be in at homes, it's okay to celebrate one Christmas from home. I've got all my Christmas lights, and I'm gonna spend the evening with my mom and my sister-in-law. That's all. So I also understand that locking down everything is having a lot of impact on the economy and all the stuff, but what it is doing to the human life.
Right.
So that is much more important.
Okay. Now, Sasha, you were a big. Look, I have a soft spot for your homeland. What's going on with their vaccine, and what are your thoughts, given everything that you've heard? Oh, welcome, Dr. Kula. We will get to you in just one moment.
Okay, Dr. Moskowitz, I have a couple of very focused questions for you.
Yes, sir.
Please concentrate. Attention. Very, very good. Okay, here we go. So remdesivir was one of the 2 or 3 drugs which helped our President Donald Trump to get well, and very, very quickly. In a matter of a day and a half, he was absolutely healthy, and he signed in the hospital Thursday or so. By Sunday, he was already home, right?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. So remdesivir is a fantastic drug which helped him, and during that,
No, he got shotgunned. He got dexamethasone, he got remdesivir, he got a mixture of monoclonal antibodies from Regeneron.
He got Regeneron.
He has a financial interest in.
Right.
Who knows whether he got Moderna, RNA vaccine.
He could have gotten quercetin too.
I believe the main thing he got.
He got zinc. He got vitamin D.
It was Regeneron.
All these drugs and the companies which are producing these drugs are all well known for the last several months. There is nothing new about that. However, he just got them and he recovered very quickly, provided that he was actually sick. However, my question is about this.
Good point. Excellent point. The whole thing may have been theater.
Okay.
Well, you like Broadway's shows?
Oh. Yes.
When I'm in New York, I'm very often going to see Broadway shows, and I like. Especially one show was fantastic by the name Producers. This is one of the best shows ever. And of course, Trump is not foreign to theatrical productions, and he had his own show on television. So Trump knows a thing or two about the show business. So let me now illustrate something that it just happened just suddenly, a couple of days ago. A study testing Lilly's antibody treatment and remdesivir is paused. However, just a few hours ago, the announcement is remdesivir didn't reduce mortality among COVID-19 in WHO study, and there is a report to follow it. So this wonderful drug, which was part of Trump's so-called recovery, absolutely useless. Ha ha ha! So, what's your opinion?
I think we've become Russia.
Oh, and In many aspects, U.S. is already ahead of Russia in the order of polarization of public, of lying, a blatant grab of power with this nomination of this little judge. By the way, of course, she wanted her job. You know why? She lives in a $500,000 house and still has $100,000 mortgage on it. So of course she was dying for the job because that job is paying $250,000 a year. So now she's going to pay off her mortgage and she'll be okay financially.
Okay. All right, Sasha. Before we get into the finances of the Supreme Court nominee, I just want to go there because I think you were going there, and we went there yesterday. And Rakesh, I'm coming to you first, but we went there yesterday. But now we have medical doctors on the show. Rakesh, could you please explain to our audience today why you believe that Donald Trump was faking his infection?
It's very simple.
No, people, we are going there. Get up, buckle up. We're going there. Rakesh,
very simple. You don't get you don't get to know about the disease. You don't show symptoms till you're about 10 days into it, and then after that you take another you start getting your isolating and all that stuff, and then it takes another 14 days to get out of it. So the cycle is 1 month, and it's impossible that the virus especially change because of the host. This is Donald Trump's body, so I will mutate. So I will he'll be all right in 4 days. It's just ridiculous.
Okay.
It's clearly theater.
Okay.
No way.
No, wait, because doctors, I'm saving you for last. We just got to get everything on the table. Sasha, why do you believe that Trump was faking it?
Look, he was in a hospital, right? So if he wouldn't go to the hospital and just continue to do whatever he's doing in the White House, then of course I would be sure that he doesn't fake anything because he's healthy. And now, of course he did. He was flown by helicopter without any symptoms to the hospital. Next day, we see him at the in his cabinet at the huge table. He is relaxed and he's doing all kind of orders. So, he was painted in some orange color for some reason. I don't know why they need that, but that's part of decorations. And so finally, Sunday, he was released without any symptoms. He was declared that he doesn't represent any threat to other people around him or so on. And then also, believe it or not, he continued with all his rallies and usual stuff, with the usual force or so on. If he was sick, that would never, ever happen, and doctors would ban him. Now, the doctors around him, they were all lying. They were very evasive. They wouldn't answer single question. When last time he tested negative? They would dodge the questions. They would not answer. They signed so-called confidentiality agreement that they will not disclose what. If he is sick, he is sick. If he's not sick, he's not sick. What is there to declare? What kind of non-disclosure agreement? I never heard about things like that. And this is all part of a lying scheme to make people believe that he's got sick. He used wonderful drugs, whose stocks of this company's producing the drugs went way higher. And also, the political message is that, as usual, coronavirus is a hoax. There is no such thing. Look at me. I'm an old, obese, sick man, and now I'm healthy. Look at that. There is no such thing as coronavirus. It's a hoax. Forget about it.
Okay, I got that part, Sasha. Now, we are going to go to the Coach Kumar. Did you want to chime in on this piece before we try to figure it out with the doctors?
Why I'm laughing all this while is I read a meme on Facebook somewhere, and it was conversation between Boris and Trump. And Trump is asking Boris that, do you think they will buy it? And Boris is telling him, yeah, it's election time. Go ahead, do it.
Okay. Now with that set up, Dr. Tula, the issue on the table is there is a distinct and growing chorus of voices that believe that Trump medically could not have had COVID-19. What are your thoughts, Dr. Tula?
So, if you look at the chronology of events, so and bearing into mind his age and everything, and of course he is grossly obese, though he is relatively fit. I won't say he is very unfit, but the high stressful lifestyle of his and all that, it looks very unlikely. I mean, honestly speaking, it looks very unlikely that he may had, even if the exposure would have been there, it seems to be a very mild exposure. I would like to refrain from saying anything and speculating anything, because ultimately, my views on politicians are very clear, and then it's very difficult to really trust politicians. I have never had the pleasure of meeting such kind of politicians anywhere across the globe, which I would say that maybe a couple of politicians as an exceptions, which were pastime politicians, but the present day politicians, it is very difficult to say anything about them. I mean, it's election time, of course, the PR machinery, everything will be after. So I think it's quite possible, whatever the stakes are there, it's quite possible to do every kind of hoopla around it.
Okay, Dr. Moskowitz, having heard from the world, China, Canada, Russia, India, where do you come down? Do you think he had it, or you think he was faking it?
Well, this is actually the first time that I've seriously entertained the thought that he might be faking it, thanks to Sasha.
Yeah.
I think it's a brilliant idea.
Right. Well, actually,
sorry, Bill, go.
No, go ahead, Doctor.
Well, but it hadn't bothered me because in some patients, dexamethasone can do this. I mean, it really took them 3 or 4 days, and that's long enough for steroids to work. If he had taken quercetin, which they did not say he took, this would be routine.
Mm-hmm. Okay, because there was a suggestion on our show yesterday, chiefly and or a challenge that came from me, and that was this, because it's common sense that if he had it, he would then have the antibodies in his blood. Doc, we agree on that, doctors, correct? Okay.
Right. Well, the IgG would take a month.
Okay. Oh, it would take a month for him to generate those?
Yeah.
Okay. But is there a blood test that would test whether or not there's the presence of antibodies in the system that would be developing over the month?
Well, the first few days he should have IgM, but there's a gap between, maybe day 5 and day 30 when he might not have any antibodies at all. Okay.
Because the suggestion was made on our show after extensive discussion that what he should do as a demonstration of leadership is that he should donate his blood so that they can harvest the plasma and the antibodies so that could be used to help somebody else. And it was a serious suggestion, and it was a serious challenge, if in fact he had it, because that would be clear-cut evidence. Now, we had one of the more skeptical individuals on our panel, surprisingly, from China, and that was Rakesh, who simply said that Trump would blend and send his blood work, and so take his blood work, which had no antibodies, pay somebody to donate their blood, mix the two together, and then send it off. And Sasha fully agreed because he believed it was right in line with the Broadway production that he believes is this 2020 election. Dr. Toole, do you have any thoughts on Rakesh's blend and send theory?
So, see, Bill, first of all, I'll compliment you again on your bow tie. You look splendid in that.
Yeah, thank you.
And I love the way our young gentleman, Sasha, always has his point of view. You've already ticked him much on the Russian angle. So when he gets to the Russia part, he gets a little, rugged up or roughed up a little bit. Because deep inside, at heart, he is a Russian. So I mean, irrespective of the political thing, he still is a Russian, right? And he is a proud Russian. I can tell you that. Right? So I have a lot of Russian friends, and I believe they are very proud of their lineage, which is a very good positive sign. They may not agree with their country's policies, but they are very proud of their lineage and proud of their country, which is a fair thing. and and, and his comments are always welcome because he speaks his mind. So he does not do that politically balancing act.
Okay.
Now coming down, now coming down to what is happening around is, see, I have 3 points which I believe should be on the table. First,
Okay.
see, I mean, Trump has been saying that it is a Chinese virus. So number one, he believes, or maximum part of the world believes, that this is a genetically engineered virus, right? So number 1 point is that. Number 2 point is that if it is a genetically engineered virus, then the concept of herd immunity itself is flawed, because you don't know, it's not a normal virus which has come to the human genome from the normal wild. So that means some work has been done on it before it has come. So it is a kind of biological weapon, right? So we need to first get our priorities right. That what kind of virus is it? Is it a virus which has come from the normal animal genome accidentally into the human genome, or is it an artificially manufactured virus which is a bioweapon? Because if it is a bioweapon, then we have to strategize very differently the way we are doing it right now. I don't agree with that. And if it is a normal virus, if we believe that it is a normal virus which has come from an animal genome, then of course the herd immunity and that all comes into the picture. So that is the one thing which we need to understand. Number 2 is that how are we treating the virus? Because I'll be candid, in India today, ICMR is the body which makes guidelines for our country. Today there was a news flashing that remdesivir and chloroquine is out of the picture. So they have said that remdesivir and chloroquine has no role whatsoever in treatment of this virus. So what I understand is that they have done some studies, and they have taken data from the various hospital settings in which treatment was being given, and they have virtually knocked out these 2 drugs. The third drug, which they have also issued a caveat, is the plasma. So they are saying that we do not know, or we are not sure whether this plasma is helping, or there are certain other external factors working. Because when you are giving plasma, also you're not doing a random controlled trial. So you are basically giving the other factors also, like steroids and all other things are also given. So you are not sure what is working. So we are right now in a quandary that we don't know what is working, what is not working. So it is very difficult to, pinpoint and say that this thing worked or that thing worked. It's not possible to pinpoint.
Okay. Kim.
Dr. Tula, may I tell you what will work for sure? If you will make a combination of plasma from Donald Trump, Boris Johnson, Putin, who is very healthy and it's not going to hurt, and that's going to be perfect treatment of the coronavirus.
Yeah. So wow. you have Mr. America, you have Mr. Russia, and you have Mr. England also on the
Wow. Okay. Rakesh, Professor, do you guys have any thoughts? Rakesh, you got blend and send. Do you think that Sasha's combination treatment is better than your blend and send? And really,
it's very simple. It's just a question of the political motivations are too strong for if you look at when you look at a crime, you look at the motive. The motive is crystallize, activate your support base. That's clearly the motive. Everything else can be engineered to get the facts, the manufacture facts to fit the case. So I would be very, very surprised if he or any of his family had ever been affected by the COVID-19 virus. They probably got an ordinary cold, but I don't think the COVID virus went anywhere nearby.
Okay, Nick, I mean, can you?
Yes,
Sorry, Doctor.
You can
I
try
have-
this. This is what
Bill-
Dr. Moskowitz said. Try
Yeah. So,
Crystal.
Bill, I have only one thing which I think the messaging did not go right.
Mhm.
So he, in a statement, said that his younger son also had the virus, and he was telling that he's all right. So why don't we open up the schools? This is all bullshit. I mean, this is what I heard, and which is very, very. I think he should really refrain from that. I mean, see, these elections will come and go. You will have one president or the other. I mean, it's not that important. Lives are more important than any election. So I really believe that, I mean, I would say that he should refrain from doing all of this. I mean, dramas are good for him. He is most welcome to do whatever he wants to. He can be a pole artist. He can do a trampoline. That is okay with me. But playing with the lives of children, I think that is something where I draw the line.
I agree, Dr. Tulin. This is what I say. He has a medical staff of just phenomenal, anything they want. And you cannot tell me that the medication is stopped with the two that he listed last night. He had oxygen given to him. He had round-the-clock care, and so did his children. My thing is, don't try this at home because you don't have all of that care. For some people, they're not going to have any care at all. Like my friend who has a single mom with no money right now, and she has no medical care, and she's very sick, not sure if it's COVID and getting worse. So my thing is I agree with you, Dr. Tula. Don't encourage people to do things that they're not going to be able to maintain. That's just horrifying. So don't try this alone at home. That's my motto. I was just be safe.
Yeah, and his
we're overwhelming the doctors again because we have flu and we have COVID. And I just heard on the radio that our beds are filling up again. So
Right.
And his treatment cost over $100,000 and is not available to the general public.
That's
so you know, so you have problems. Yeah, I'm serious. The
Nick,
Regeneron's not available.
Nick, you're undercounting it because they set up an entire intensive care unit on the second floor of the White House. And
okay, so it's more than 100,000 and not available to the general public. So
helicopter.
Yes, no, but it's more than that. And this may get our panel riled up. But it's that not only was the medical unit set up, the intensive care unit, it's that also all of the individuals who worked on the second floor, everybody that came into contact with them had to be fully equipped head to toe in PPEs and Ziploc and everything else. So it was the preparation. And the thing about that is simply this. Our frontline workers it bubbles up every couple of weeks, don't still have a reliable supply of PPE equipment. But he has it all and has it all. It's standing by and waiting in the White House for him and everybody else that works there. And it's just crazy. So, Kim, you're right. It's not just the doctors. It's not just the access to the experimental drugs. Nick, you're right. It's not just, the mindless stuff. It's everything that goes in to take care of 3 people when we have an entire nation in need. And Dr. Tula, you're right. It is the lives, and it's not just American lives, it's global lives lost.
Well, the thing is, I agree with Dr. Moskowitz. Try this because Dr. Moskowitz was successful with quercetin. It can't kill you, can't help you. And if you want to look at the studies, there are studies now coming out. Everyone I've read have been positive so far on COVID-19, how this actually can treat COVID-19. Go type in quercetin, COVID-19, start reading through the studies. Now, there's a lot of parts of the studies you're not going to understand because they're in medical jargon. But the thing is, there's a lot that you will understand, like it ended up saving lives, and that part could be very important. So, I would encourage people to go type in quercetin, COVID-19, go through the studies, and look at that because treatments may be right around the corner, and it might be something so simple as penicillin, which is just a bloody mold founded on bread.
Okay, well, Nick, I have a question for Dr. Tula, and that is this, and it's a very real question. If I go and I get a flu shot, is that going to open me up to be more susceptible to getting COVID? Meaning, should I go get a flu shot, or should I just kind of stay away from anything that might weaken my immune system, Dr. Tula?
So the flu vaccines which come are basically not live vaccines. So I don't think you will. I mean, there are any chances that it is going to increase your chances of catching COVID, unless and until you go and get a flu shot and there you get in contact with any COVID. Either the doctor is COVID positive, or his staff is COVID positive, or on the way you are being exposed to COVID positive people. I don't expect the flu shots are going to increase your chances of getting COVID. They are neither going to decrease your chances of getting COVID. So I mean, it's a game which is worth trying for, where people are above 60 at least. I presume that there is no harm in getting a flu shot, but it's not going to increase or decrease the chances. There is no studies to say that it's going to decrease the chances at the moment.
Okay. Well, Rakesh, Sasha, are you guys planning on getting flu shots this season?
No.
I don't know. I'd ask my I have a very good doctor in New Zealand. I'd ask her, but in New Zealand it's going to be summer, so I really don't think they'll be doling out flu shots. They usually start doing that in April when it's heading towards winter in the southern hemisphere.
But Nick, you know what, Rakesh, that was such a softball. Nick, you know what Rakesh forgot to answer? I mean, I threw him a softball. All he had to do was hit a home run. And you know why, Nick? I mean, Rakesh, I'm so glad that you joined this show so you can become smart. New Zealand has no COVID infections.
Yeah, they don't. But I hear people from China are going to be moving there shortly, and that could all change.
And
right,
Rakesh?
14 days in quarantine. They will test me twice, once on the day and once on the 10th day.
But to answer Dr. Trezevant's skepticism on the flu shot, okay, I'm just going to give you my anecdotal evidence on it. Of course, I got my flu shot yesterday.
Okay.
But here's the reason why. Here's the reason why. In my younger, more halcyon days, when I was in my 30s, I didn't get the flu shot. I didn't get the flu. And if I did get the flu, no problem. Then I started hitting my 40s, and boy, I got the flu, and it was bad. And so then I started taking flu shots. Ever since I've taken the flu shot, I haven't got the flu. But being asthmatic, it's something you really don't want. So that's part of the reason I take the flu shot. In other words, it's back to why would I take Racine? Because it could help, can't hurt. Flu shot, for the most part, could help, can't hurt. So the thing is, and I know there's all the weirdos out there that go, well, they're injecting your body with some blood. Who cares? Hey, and there's some people that don't believe in vaccines. I said, and they're on Facebook. But listen, there was this thing called smallpox. I don't know if people remember smallpox. Yeah. Now the reason I got inundated this when I was a tiny little kid, my mom was the head of Tampa General Hospital's nursing division. So all I had was back here was a bunch of medical books. So I'm a tiny kid. I'm reading through all these stupid medical books. And one disease was this thing called smallpox. Smallpox wasn't fun. As a matter of fact, it eradicated most of the Native Americans here, which we called Indians, Dr. Tula, because Christopher Columbus couldn't figure it out when he came over. He goes, must be India, baby. This must be India. Oops, he missed another ocean. But anyway, smallpox eradicated. Then there was another disease, but they actually had a vaccine for smallpox. And I took it, so I got smallpox. Then they had this thing called polio. Okay, polio was something that a lot of people, just a little generation ahead of mine, got, but they had a polio vaccine. Then there were other vaccines, MMRs, etc. And so what happens is that my family became a believer in these things because we didn't want the alternative, which is to get really sick or really get destroyed by these crazy viruses. And so I don't have any problems with that. Now, I did have a problem with your friend, Amy Coney Barrett, that we didn't bring up yesterday, and I'm just going to briefly bring up our Supreme Court nominee. Besides the fact her having zero international experience, in other words, she's never really lived abroad or spent any time in other countries. So for her, China is something you read in a textbook, and India is something that a line you read underneath a textbook. Right. Okay, but besides that, when they asked her about global climate change, and I believe it's anthropomorphic, but only because I read IPCC studies, okay, which are 97-3 in favor of it. She goes, I don't know, I'm not a scientist. Okay, wait a minute. You don't have to be a scientist. All you have to do is bloody read.
Right.
Okay. And what gets me is that, okay, if you don't believe, and I thought Moskowitz was great because he was calling against these things way before they took place.
Absolutely.
His calls have been really good. I would buy stock in Dr. Moskowitz, and he put stock into this little thing, quercetin.
Right.
So I bought it because I put stock in it. The studies are coming out favorably right now, and one is in Montreal, one is in Thailand, one's in Eastern Virginia, and I go back to, hey, it can help and can't hurt. But in the meantime, I believe you're going to have hundreds of thousands of people die in India, die in the United States, because this is sitting in the back rooms as, what was that thing that Trump was pushing, hydroxychloroquine or something? Or was it Lysol? I keep forgetting.
No.
Okay.
And then wait, and then a UV light, Nick.
What?
And then a UV light, and then I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, there's some hard evidence about this, including IBM Summit's computer ranking this number 7 on the possible treatments. And what really gets me, Bill, is that when, like I said, when he brought out his team, they're going to head up and destroy this coronavirus.
Right.
And here we have Mike Pence, the guy with the fly, who has no medical background whatsoever, Dr. Tula. Okay, I don't know if you
ask Dr. Tula his thoughts on this. Is that I still believe the things that we talked about in the very beginning when Dr. Tula first visited us is just continue the practices we have so we don't overwhelm the medical industry. Wear your mask, social distance, wash your hands, very basic, build your immunity. Dr. Tula has always told us, and Dr. Tula, do you still believe that that is still the true way that we should be practicing?
So, Kim, as I told you, see, I'm not very sure what are the credentials of this virus. So we need to understand that, I mean, see, today we are saying that this product is going to help us. But what is the guarantee that, see, I don't want anyone to have this virus because I am not a great proponent of the herd immunity with this virus. Because I'm not sure of the virus. I'm absolutely not sure of the virus, that what is the origins of this virus. I don't know how it is going to behave. And I'll be honest enough to admit that. There are many doctors who believe that there are some kinds of experts on this virus. And I am not one of them. I am honest here to admit that I don't understand this virus. So my line of action is to try and stay away from this virus. You should try and try not to catch this virus. Or even if you are taking the virus in, it has to be in a very, very small quantity so that your body is able to fend off from this virus on its own without any support from any drugs or anything. So that is the only way to do it. It is through these 3 basic tenets. One is mask, number 2 is social distancing, and the third is washing your hands.
There you go.
So I mean, I don't understand that there is nothing. I mean, that's what, because please understand that developed countries still may be able to do things on a better off. But what will happen when the world opens up?
Right. Well, you know,
what is going to happen?
Exactly. Thank you, Dr. Tula. Thank you.
Well, I have a quick question because and I wanted to drill down for our audience, and it really shocked me, Dr. Tula, when you mentioned it, because I hadn't considered it before. And that is this: is that if your distinction between whether or not this virus is an outgrowth of the natural world development, that is, say, it came out of the animal world and transferred over to the human world, versus whether or not it is indeed a manufactured virus, which would make it a bioweapon. Now, that I find to be really concerning, because if in fact that's the case, would it be true that all these vaccines that they're looking to create to combat this virus, they're basing it on the premise that it was a naturally occurring virus, and if it was engineered to begin with, they would have taken that into account when they engineered the virus, that the responses would have been nature-based rather than engineered-based. Is that a fair statement, Dr. Tula?
That is why it makes it very complicated. So, see, we need to understand that what is the base from where they are making this vaccine, right? So, if it is an engineered virus, suppose, for example, let's go on the theory that it is an engineered virus. That means the base crux of that virus is in a laboratory. So you should be having the exact virus to make an antidote for the virus, which is basically the vaccine. Now, if it is a vaccine which is a virus which is, I mean, being transmitted into the population, and then you have mutations also happening in it. So this will be a kind of virus which is the kind of not a very pure kind of virus. It is going to be a virus which is gone that which is passed through certain stages. So the vaccine is never going to be absolutely, I would say, 100% effective in this kind of a virus. Now, in the case of, as you were saying, the case of, if you were to compare it with a smallpox or a polio vaccine, see, these were pure wild viruses. So it took some time for you to make vaccines for them, but you were able to make it over a period of time. So a lot of clinical trials were done, and finally we were able to manufacture vaccines. It took years and years to do that. In fact, it took nearly a generation to, have vaccines against them. And if God forbid, if this is a genetically engineered virus, then I don't think we are anywhere. I mean, we are just fooling ourselves with vaccines. I hope I am proven wrong. I would like to be proven wrong on this, but unfortunately, I don't see that happening.
Right. Actually, Bill, what you were alluding to, as the virus was developed in China as a bioweapon, and even more important, listen to the storyline, the only person that has the antidote in China is Rakesh. So in order to get the cure for the coronavirus, you have to go to mathplusscience.com and order your cure.
And Rakesh ordered a ton of warehouses full of quercetin.
That's right. And so the thing is, the solution is, and that's a great storyline, Bill. It was manufactured in China, so Rakesh can get rich because he's the only one that has the antidote.
Well, I've got a better answer, I think, if you bear with me a second. I saw something last night. Let's see if I can find it today. Well, keep talking. I'm going to see if I can.
No, while you're looking for that, I do want to say, Nick, touche, okay?
Well, I mean, it's a great storyline. I mean, there's a lot of great storylines out of this. It's really that Donald Trump manufactured this. But the thing is, I thought that what he did, he actually died, they buried him, and then he came back. And the thing is, that would even be a better storyline. And then Donald Trump would be, the next coming. So there's some really great storylines that we can actually develop out of this vaccine. And then you can put it on television, Bill, and then your ratings on American politics could actually exceed Humira would. That would be wonderful.
Yes,
by the way, for those who don't know,
story. I'll tell you what is a better story. If at the end of the year, Trump will be awarded the top prize as the best producer of 2020.
That's true. He's looking for his next his next career as celebrity president or something like that.
Absolutely.
So he's going to be moving on. But Bill's been struggling trying to beat Humira Wood, which is a show that goes between Bollywood and Hollywood, and
very successful.
Nollywood. They're going to hit all three places, I understand. So these storylines you can develop on American politics. Think, Bill, Trump did it illegally, or whatever. Whoops.
All right, fine. Rather than say some simple things like tonight's American Politics show, which is going to be focusing in on the Armenian-Azerbaijani war.
Yeah, what's going on over there, dude? I thought Armenia and Azerbaijan were... They were friends with each other. Weren't they part of that Soviet Union deal? Aren't they part of the CCP? Aren't they brothers in communism? What's going on? How can communists fight each other?
Okay,
that doesn't make any sense to me.
Okay, well, the short story is this: is that they were fighting over this region over 150 years ago. Imperialist Russia stepped in, took both countries over, and told them that they were not allowed to fight. Now, in the meantime, one side committed atrocities, what they're calling the Armenian genocide, and that was back in 1915. And then Soviet Russia said, "You guys can't fight anymore." And then Soviet Russia disappeared and turned into
Russia, real Russia, right?
Right. And at that point, they started fighting again because they hadn't resolved the conflict from 100 and some odd years ago. And then, then Russia came in and they ostensibly told each side to stop. So they signed a ceasefire. They're calling it the Frozen War. Now, they got fed up because with all this pandemic stuff and all the countries shifting away, and without American leadership, they said it's time to fight again. And now this time, they're looking to resolve this conflict and they do not want to engage in another ceasefire. And they've been at this now and waiting for it for over 100 years. And the concern, and which is why you should watch the show, we have an expert, Dan Powers, on it. The concern is this, is that Turkey is backing one side, Russia is backing the other side with active troops and mercenary forces, and Turkey is part of NATO. And all they have to do is invoke Article 5 of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and we, the United States, are at war, soldier to soldier, with Russia. Now, how do you like that? In a blink of an eye. And that's how World War I started. Some person, some other place, some stupid thing, and then before you know it, the whole world is involved. And that's what's at stake at this tiny little spot, this 150-year-old fight. It is whether or not Turkey invokes Article 5, which is an involuntary provision of the NATO agreement. It says automatically mutual defense. That means we send tanks, we send troops, we send ships, and we're in a ground war over there. All because Turkey's doing whatever they want. Now, Sasha, what do you know about it? Because Russia's on the other side.
Well, first of all, this region, they were never brothers or sisters, and it's ingrained in their upbringing to fight each other. And actually, it would be prudent 150 years ago to let them fight until somebody will win overwhelmingly, and that would stop all battles there. That never been done, so probably the time is now. Now, the Turkey is obviously on the side of Azerbaijan because it's also a Muslim country. Their languages are very similar. There is not much difference in languages between these two peoples. They understand each other. And so obviously Turkey has its vital interest there. Now, Russia, they do support Armenians, but Russia is also very careful. It's hedging its bets. They have a huge Armenian community in Moscow. They're all very well-to-do people. So supposedly they should protect. But so there is Azerbaijan.
No, but Sasha, it's actually more than that. Russia is selling arms to both sides.
Well, they're not stupid. They make money on both sides. Bill, is this going to be on American Politics tonight?
Yeah. Tonight
at 7 o'clock. Why don't I hear about this stuff on mainstream media? This is the first I've really heard about this.
Well, I mean,
you're telling me while we're busy with this coronavirus, World War III is erupting, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay, it's just like when the Spanish flu took place, World War I was erupting.
That's exactly right, Nick.
Right. Okay, so Dr. Tula, we found the solution.
Nick,
we'll
if you look all around the world, you see that this virus has basically acted as a vaccine for the politicians. They have become more aggressive. Just look at the posturing of all the countries. I mean, just look at the posturing of all the countries. You have China, you have our country, you have Pakistan, you have even a small country which is very small in size by the name of Nepal. That is also a grand posturing with us at the moment, right? Then you have the Middle East countries.
Right.
Everyone is haywire with the whole system. Then you have Turkey, you have Azerbaijan, you have Armenia, Russia soft pedaling, and you look at, you look at the other parts of the world also. I don't know what's going around.
Well, I mean, Dr. Tula, I think you're absolutely right. And Nick, I'm going to come to you, and then Kendra, I got to come to you. But I mean, in some respects, I mean, we, myself included, and perhaps it's a fault of mine. From time to time, I make fun of calling it in a sign of the times, just all the craziness that's going on. But those are minor things that we can laugh about to keep our spirits up. However, this stuff is very, very serious because Dr. Tula, as you point out, it seems as if all of the traditional restraints have been lifted off all the countries, and people are now deciding that they're fighting things because they see no vaccine in sight, they see nothing else, and whatever else motivates them. It seems like anything goes. Nick?
That's weird.
Yeah, so we have a hyperbole of nationalism going around. Now, there is a difference between being a patriot and being a nationalist. I believe that there is a very big difference between them. So I think there is this nationalistic jingoism going around all across the world. So that means that we are superior than you. I mean, I don't know what people are trying to correct, especially the politicians. I think it is their incompetence and their way they are not able to deal with the crisis. So they are trying to deflect by, inciting people to, kind of hatred against each other. Mm-hmm. And I think this is a agenda of all politicians across. I'm sorry, it will sound like a philosophical thing, but honestly speaking, I believe, this is the right time to get rid of these kind of politicians. We should abstain and not get into all of it. And then to add to the fuel, you have these propaganda, fake news channels also going all around. So, it's a out and out mayhem if you see all around.
Okay. All right. Well, Sasha, do you think that the COVID pandemic is freeing people to, or being used as a cover to do exactly what they want to do, which was to engage in hostilities and achieve long-standing agenda items?
That's really a tough question. The COVID, that something hit us all unexpectedly in about February, March this year. So I'm not so sure how anybody can use it to his advantage. I mean, look at Boris Johnson. Okay, he's got sick supposedly, and so he recovered. There are some changes in his behaviors, from what I understand, but he became some kind of milder, more human than he was before. That's about it. Okay, Trump used the COVID to his politics. Actually, it's very innocent what Trump did, because if you remember, for example, movie. When the U.S. president to deflect attention from started the war. Yeah, exactly. So he started the war against a foreign country or so on. So essentially what Trump did is much cheaper than that. It's more humane and faster, maybe more effective, maybe not. It's hard to say. So at least, okay, so one obvious example is this, that he used COVID-19 story to his advantage. Okay, but other than that, I really can't say one way or another. I think it's devastated world economics in most countries. I don't think there are a lot of positive things that one can say about COVID-19. That's my opinion.
Okay, well, Nick.
So, Sasha, can I rephrase the question which Bill put on you? So I will rephrase the question by asking you that, do you think that the leaders, because they were not able to handle the situation better, are trying to deflect their people by grand posturing and being more aggressive and trying to bring in a nationalistic jingo and trying to, invoke or trying to incite other countries?
I think you have a point. I think, but that's natural, because if such a disaster as COVID-19 hits your people, your country, because there is no medical answer to that yet, so they're trying to invent all kinds of remedies what they feel would benefit them, because obviously every leader in every country is doing something to benefit him first of all, and his people, it's not so important. So every leader obviously is trying to benefit himself, and that's happening all around the world.
Okay, Kimberly, you are a voice of reason. And no, you are. And you have a way of summarizing these things. This is what we have on the table, and it's a dealer's choice, Kimberly. It is, do you think that this is really a wag the dog kind of situation? Or do you think that, meaning that the leaders are trying to distract their own and cover up their own failings? Or do you think they are using this pandemic as an excuse to accomplish an agenda that they would not normally have been able to accomplish?
So as not to sound like a conspiracy theorist, who I generally tend to sound like, because I take a lot of facts and add them up. Dr. Tula pointed out something that was a voice of reason of mine from the very beginning of this, that this could be some sort of mistake or biochemical warfare, but not, maybe it was a mistake. It was a virus being made in the lab, which my research took me to Pirbright in China, where they developed the coronavirus for research in poultry. And in October of 2019, and I want to say somewhere around October 20th, they hosted a huge conference. And so in my mind, I thought it could have been an accident because somebody could have taken one of the chickens that were infected. They were told to dispose it. And instead of disposing it, they're like, you know what, these are good chickens. Let's take them to the market. So then I think that they took them to the market, which is where they were picked up, and then the virus spread. So I truly believe that because this is a virus that we can't put a ground zero on, I think that if they were being very honest, they would take and see if they can link it to any of the research that came out of Pirbright. Because if you look at the timeline of events, so this is what I have always believed. Because I'm looking at the timeline of events. Pirbright hosted a conference in October of 2019. That's what they do. They study and research coronaviruses in chickens. The chickens could have been delivered to China. It spread because they had no idea where it came from. Because it is man-made, it's I think more difficult for us to treat.
Right.
And then I think that it started to spread out of control. I think that we made a lot of mistakes in the United States because our leaders didn't want to heed the real warnings that they were reading because of a popularity contest and because they wanted to make sure they lined their own pockets before they shut everything down. So I think Trump also made a limit. If you listen to his speeches in the very beginning, I think he established a limit and said, you know, when we reach 1,300 people infected, that's when I'm going to do a shutdown. He didn't look at the fact that those 13 people had already been infected for 2 weeks, spreading the virus, which spiderwebbed like crazy. So his people should have consulted him to say when we reach 100. So I think that he wanted to do something at that rate so that he looked like he saved the country. And he realized, oops, I made a mistake. Let's blame Fauci. So then fingers started pointing where the rest of the world was, instead of finger pointing, they were trying to figure out how to fix this problem, how to contain this. I mean, when we started meeting with Dr. Tula, his first concern is how do I protect my own family? Because I work with the front lines. I am there. So these are the things the rest of the world were considering, and we were pointing fingers. So I believe that Dr. Tula is very much right in saying we don't know where ground zero was. So we really don't know what this disease is. We know that there's more than one version out there. So that scares me even more. So just because I get cured of one doesn't mean I'm not going to get the other. I did take the flu shot this year. There is a trick to taking the flu shot that I learned from my doctors. One, I read everything in it to see if there's anything I'm allergic to or my body might react weird to. And two, I take it in a window of time. They say if you get the flu shot, but you happen to have the flu at the same time, you're going to get sick worse. So the key is to take it before the big flu season comes in. So if you're going, to me, that's the key. But we're looking, like Dr. Tula said, at all of these different elements that impact some major decisions to take. I agree with Dr. Tula. I don't believe in herd immunization. I think we're rushing on that. But I think the conspiracy theories, I think we need to go to Pirbright. I think we need to research really hard. I think we need to see if somebody was supposed to be disposing of chickens and they accidentally got carried to the market. I don't think you should hang or kill anyone for telling the truth. I think we just need to figure it out. And I think when we do figure it out, it's going to be as simple as what Dr. Moskowitz came out with a treatment. And I just want to tell people also, Dr. Moskowitz had 100% success rate with his patients, from a patient that was nearly dying to patients that were not so bad symptomatic. The other thing that he learned is that asthma treatments. So if you take asthma, those are really helpful in recovering from COVID. But like Dr. Tula said, I don't think I want to go out and purposely get this, because we don't know the end result of what the damage is. The first thing I did when I heard this was coming in a war form, I went and researched what can it do to my body, and is it airborne? Those are the two questions I wanted answered. In the beginning, nobody asked those questions at the conferences. Not, and then somebody did ask the president, "Is this airborne?" And he said, "No, it was aerosol," but he didn't say that. So aerosol to me is airborne, but yes, Ankit.
I have a few questions for Dr. Tola. I mean, it's been a while since I saw sir. So how are you doing, sir?
It's all pleasure, and I hope you are also doing good.
Yeah, I was not keeping well earlier, and then there was someone had a COVID, and then the person expired in the family. So that was something which was taking a back stage.
My really condolences to you. I mean, I'm so sorry to hear that. I mean,
yeah, but during this thing, I realized that, I mean, how the treatments are going on in India. I mean, I don't know why, but offline I had a word with a lot of doctors. So a lot of doctors are, I mean, when the patients are having severe lung infection, they are using remdesivir as a antiviral to make sure that they can bring down the infection. And after that, the next, I mean, line of treatment would be plasma therapy. Apart from that, I don't see anything else at this point of time, unless that person is having some other problem. But on the other hand, I am also surprised that a lot of doctors are saying that the spread is, I mean, a COVID patient can spread the virus from day 4 to day 8. And then a lot of doctors are also not prescribing a test after 17 days. So I just wanted to know what's going on, because I mean, I was not able to understand what's happening.
That's
so
interesting.
Ankit, let's put the things in perspective. The first thing I saw today in the news was that ICMR has said that remdesivir and HCQ has no role in COVID treatment. Now that is something which has come as a surprise, because I mean, remdesivir was being concurrently used in a lot of hospital protocols. Of course, it was one of the products. It's not the only product which was being used. So steroids were being used. You had these anti-platelet, anti-allergic products. So and of course the plasma also. So and plasma was only given to patients in which they were suspecting that the patient is deteriorating, right?
True.
So ultimately, at the end of the day, I mean, a lot of protocols are being practiced. Now today, when ICMR says that remdesivir is not effective at all, I mean, that's a big question mark on the product, right?
Yeah.
So number one is that. Number two is we need to understand that, I mean, at the end of the day, see, again, when you're getting a test done, so what is the time when you'll get a test done? So it is when you will get a test done is the only time when either you are exposed to someone, right, who had COVID, or you are having some symptoms suggestive of COVID, right? So the question is that how long is it going to take for you to become symptomatic after an brush with someone, or when you came in contact with someone who had COVID? So it can be anywhere between 4 days to maybe even 10 days to 12 days, depending upon the virulence of the virus. So, and your immunity status. So it is very difficult to pinpoint and cherry pick that, okay, we're going to do the test on the 4th day, 5th day. How are you sure that it is the 4th day, 5th day, 6th day when you're going to do the test? So the test is only going to be done when you show symptoms of the disease. Otherwise, why will you test yourself?
That's a good point.
No, I'm surprised basically because and a lot of doctors are not prescribing the testing after 20 days or 17 days or 14 days, whatever it is, because they said that after that, I mean, you won't be able to spread the COVID, so there is no point of testing. And I was surprised because I mean, see, you can understand that when a doctor is saying something to a patient, the patient will say, okay, I won't go for a testing.
No,
and then
no. So I believe that, see, I mean, see, I'll be very candid with you. I mean, after a 2-week, 3-week period, I don't think there is any harm in testing, right?
Obviously.
Because it is for your psychological reasons also, that if you have a negative test, you also feel good about it, that, okay, I have recovered, right? So there is no problem in getting a test done. Now, why they are not getting it done is, one is the lack, being little complacent and feeling that you are going to basically see, ultimately test is, you need to accept it and admit it that India is not US, right?
Yeah.
So one test being negative is a loss when it comes to the test kit. I'm sorry, I'm being little, financially compliant here, but the thing is that only. So everyone doesn't, the tendency is that we don't want to waste test kits, so let's not get it done. I'm not saying that you should not get it done. It is always imperative that if you get a test done, you are psychologically, because see, it plays on your psychological skills also. So it's a devastating disease. It unnerves you. So there is a psychological aspect to it also, which we need to understand. And that is why we say that when you are fighting this disease, always associate with people who have a positive outlook.
True.
Don't go to the doomsday sayers or the nath slayers, because they are then going to say that this is going to happen, that is going to happen, which will psychologically devastate you. That's why the whole thing around it is that we have to remain positive, but at the same time we have to remain practical.
Certainly understand. I completely understand, sir. But you know, David, my concern is that when a doctor is saying that don't go for a testing, people or patients who are suffering from COVID, or maybe they don't have COVID, they become complacent or they become careless, and they start meeting people and they are back to normal, and they think that now I have a COVID, so I won't be having any disinfection, and I can do whatever I can do, and they stop wearing masks as well. They stop, chasing all those precautions with what we are, doing at this point of time. So I'm not against testing or whatever it is, because you know that how the testing and all this work. But when people become careless, they could be careless as well. I don't understand why. We are not taking care of that thing, because most of the people getting treated in India are at home now. Very few people are going at the hospital if they have a severe lung infection, something like that. But I'm surprised how we are dealing with the situation, and I don't know what to say. But when my nearby people say that they are not going for testing, I was like, I don't know what to do, because testing is required. We don't know whether you have some other problem or you are still carrying something else, because one of my relative, they are still they had a COVID some way back in June, and they still have a lung infection. They are still and doctors now saying that it will take around 1 to 2 years to get back to normal, because the infection is still there. Although they don't have COVID, they are negative, but still there are a lot of other complications in the body going on based on your previous and past disease and health requirements. So I don't know how to tackle these situations.
No, so Ankit, the rule of the thumb is very simple. You need to keep things very simple. Please understand that. So irrespective of any doctor saying anything, logic has to be applied for everything, right? Yeah. So the thing is that if you feel that you have symptoms, it is imperative you test yourself for COVID, right? Because it is not only for your safety, it is the safety for your near and dears who are in contact with you. So it is ridiculous to say that I will not test, right? Yeah. And I believe that if people cannot be so stupid that they say we are not going to test, and then they will endanger people around them. So it is ridiculous to even say that. And apart from there, when you are recovered, after a period of a 3-week period, I think that imperatively you should get a test done. The reason is that, again, the same genesis, that if you are positive at that time also, so you need to understand there is a perimetry around you.
Certainly.
So I don't know what is going around. Why will anyone say not to test? That doesn't cut ice with me. Honestly speaking, as a law-abiding citizen and as a citizen who believes that we have responsibilities, I don't think that should be. I don't agree to that or subscribe to that.
I certainly, but I'm not a doctor, so I was surprised, and I don't know how to react, because it happens.
I'll tell you. That is why I've been very vocal about it. So Ankit, there are certain colleagues of our system also who have been going around in media circles and propagating that this is just a virus, it is just a flu, you don't have to worry about it. You need to understand that ultimately I don't subscribe to that, and I condone this kind of. I am not fear mongering, but I am being practical, or I am being circumspect. It is always it is better to err, right, on the right side rather than go on the left, right? So you don't want to go on the wrong side. Nah? So we need to understand that it is very important. The doctors also need to realize. So there are a lot of colleagues of ours who are just doing that, saying that it is a virus. TB is more serious than this. I mean, what are we talking?
In fact, sir, there is one more issue happening in, during what I've realized is that whenever you go for a testing, because now there are a lot of places we can get the testing done. So the testing report says that there is a pneumonia, there is kind of a typhoid. So they are not mentioning that this is COVID, and they are also not mentioning the HRT number of what's the value, which is a surprise to me. And then after, someone passed away, expired, they're not declaring it's a COVID. And people are doing the regular rituals. And that is also,
So this is exactly what Ankit I was telling you, that this is what is known as data fudging, right?
Yeah,
now I'll tell you why does that happen. Because see, everyone was telling that numbers are less. You need to understand that in India we have what is known as the death certificate form. Now, I have been in hospitals, I have seen death myself. So ultimately, we have only two things to write, right? One is the cause of the death and the comorbidity which led to that death, right? So please understand that if you had a heart disease and you are dying because of heart failure, so I will write that you had cardiorespiratory arrest due to a cardiac condition. So where is the COVID factoring into that? For that, you require another column in that, which is not there in India. So that is why there is gross underreporting which is happening, and I do ascribe that. I really believe the numbers of death, what they are claiming to not be due to COVID, if you look into that and do data research into it, it's going to be far more. So I am not speculating, but I am telling you the facts of the case.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Tully, well, I shouldn't even be surprised because I've been hanging around Sasha too much. And that is this, that when I now, considering all this stuff, and I now look at the American numbers, even John Hopkins, you're right. It all comes down to what the doctors are writing down at the time of the person's death. And they could just be saying, okay, this person died of cardiac arrest, but not making a note of the fact that it was brought on by and or exacerbated by having COVID-19. And so that in that regard, America's death count is really undercounted as well. Would you agree with that, Dr. Tulip?
So, Bill, this is what the problem is. We need to understand that there are technicalities. Now, if you can manipulate data using technicalities, it's a win-win scenario.
It is.
So what are we comparing? So India is comparing that we have 10 times the population of USA, but our numbers are less. What happens? The politician get a pat on their back, right? Similarly, there is the Malaysia chap who is claiming that they have only these numbers. I mean, are we kidding? I can't believe that, sir. I will not take that. I mean, I will take it with a pinch of salt there, where people are saying that the numbers are so less. I mean, it's not possible. It's not humanly possible. And especially in crowded countries, it is not possible.
Right. And
the cat is among the pigeons. What do you expect the cat to do? And you think the pigeons will be able to fly off all around?
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to happen.
Wow. So
I agree. I mean, it's all common sense. I mean, again, we still don't know the beast we're dealing with. We don't. Dr. Toole is right. We just need to use some common sense and listen to our doctors.
Yeah, well, no, but Kim, it seems to be more than that, because, and this is what I'm fundamentally concerned with, that if Dr. Toole is right, that this is a man-made engineered virus, that means that somebody else...
Excuse me, I'll just correct you. I said it. I'm not claiming that it is a man-made virus. What I'm trying to say is that we need to keep two possibilities, right?
True.
One is if it is a man-made virus, and the other is that it is a normal virus from the body, right?
No, certainly. And thank you for correcting me, because
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that, but if the message came, I just wanted to correct that.
No.
But if it is that, we have a lot to consider. I mean, we should be taking a look at both sides. Do you think they are? Do you think they're researching both aspects?
What? No.
So I'll give you a very good example. I'll tell you one thing which I think all of you know, but sometimes we don't want to acknowledge. So there is a lot of research which is going on for these kind of bioweapons all across the globe.
Okay.
I am sure in Russia also research is happening. In America also research is happening. And even in our country research must be happening on this. It is not possible the research is not happening on this. Now my question to you is, let us presume this virus would have escaped from any other country. Let's presume, for example, say India. I'm giving a hypothetical thing. Do you think the Indian government would have acknowledged that this has happened?
No.
No country will acknowledge. No country. So don't expect that from China also. I mean, it's not rocket science. See, I'll give you an example. For example, there were reports that in Syria, the President Assad was using, bioweapons of mass destruction to bomb his own country people, right? And you had these sarin gas and all used, and they were. Sasha will give us good insight into it. But there were these weapons were being produced from Russia, but they refuted. They said this is not happening. Though there was evidence which was produced by photographers in various forums, nothing happened. So this is a typical denial of any country. See, all countries are involved in some kind of research, and they are also doing some research on these bioweapons also, but no one is going to acknowledge that.
Okay. Because I mean, my fear is that we're nowhere, and that the researchers who were trying to pursue this vaccine, rather than trying to understand cure certain, are coming up with fundamentally wrong results because they don't understand the nature of the virus. And
no, they will not. I'm not saying they will come across with the wrong vaccine. What I'm trying to tell you is that please understand, if you have a right product in your hand, so the chances of getting a more efficacious vaccine is going to be there. But if you have a second generation product which was tampered with, so you don't know exactly which genome is working for what. So you will have a vaccine, but it may not give you that kind of immunity which would be expected from the real original thing if you had that in hand.
Okay.
Because if let's presume that China, if for example, I'm just saying that let us presume that China manufactured it. But has China been able to manufacture the vaccine? So the answer is no.
No one knows.
So
maybe that's a result of unintended consequences, because they put it together and then the gene mutated, and so then they were stuck, because once it got out into nature, it changed, and so they're even stuck that the original design changed. Ankit, sorry. Ankit.
Sir, I'm not sure about China, but I just, based on the stats, when Russia said that they already have a vaccine, we can see past week's report from Russia. They are still declaring 13,000, 15,000 people on new cases every day. So if they have a vaccine, I don't know why they are declaring those cases. On the other hand, if you check out China's data, they are still not declaring the cases basically. So we never know whether they have a vaccine or whether they don't have a vaccine, because it's difficult to get news from China. We tried to talk to a lot of people in China, but we didn't get any response from likewise. But one of our doctors, they said that they have something in Wuhan. They got something of mass testing or some kind of injection happened somewhere in Wuhan area only. So you never know what's happening in China. But generally, if you just check out the data, apart from China and Chinese colonies, the virus spread around the world, which is a surprise to me. If you check out Singapore, Macau, Hong Kong, South Korea, all these countries, they are doing good as compared to other countries. So I don't know why, how come we are far behind in that, and maybe there is something which we don't know. So
I still think if somebody traced it back, this is where it came from. They had a huge food conference there in China. It's a road trip to Wuhan, but I think the person was told to dispose of the chickens, and instead of throwing them away, I think it was just an accident. I don't think anyone should be punished I think we need to find ground zero, and people need to admit it. We just need to do an immunity clause that as long as it wasn't intentional, that it was an accident. And I think that there needs to be full immunity for somebody to come out with the truth. I don't want to blame Pirbright.
But Kim, I'll tell you, there is one more interesting point that WHO team reached out to China. I mean, the team was there in China, and suddenly there was a heavy flood happened in the city of Wuhan, which never happened in the past 100 years. And they were stuck for almost like a month or so. And then after that, I mean, everything got vanished. I mean, there are no data, or there is nothing to test out, or there is no investigation they can proceed. So and see, mainstream media, they're focusing on politics, they're focusing on elections, they're focusing on vaccines, but no one is going to dig into it, that what happened and how it got started. We have a lot of investigators around the world, we have a lot of reporters, but we never got to know that how it got started.
But there are disease doctors who would do a trace back if we would just hire them. There are pandemic researchers that's what they do, but we haven't employed anyone. No country has. But there are researchers. That's what they would do.
But Kim, I mean, I understand about the pandemic thing, but we have WHO, and WHO is not doing anything. I mean, I don't see, any proper.
It's not a pandemic team. They're not a pandemic team. You have to look at the specialities of a pandemic team. Seriously, watch the movie 93 Days. 93 Days is a true story. And it really lays out what a good pandemic team would do. It's free on our website. It's also free if you go look it up on YouTube. It's with Danny Glover, so it's not a cheap made movie. It's a really good quality documentary about what happened in Nigeria. But I agree with you. But a pandemic team, WHO is not pandemic. WHO is research. And when I did my research on WHO this year, we actually paid them to develop a drug that they're now letting somebody else run with on the patent. And it's a drug that helps cure lung diseases. So, and again, I think that's something that's going to come out. And they just did actually in July. They came out and said, hey, guess what? This drug could be the cure for COVID. So, and I'm like, and they've been paying, WHO has been paying for this development since 2012. They've been funding it. So I think that we need to, one, I think the government is distracting us with a lot of things. Mm-hmm. We're not seeing all of the policies that they're setting in place or the wars they're creating, like Nick said. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, here we go again. History teaches that this happens a lot. That we'll get they'll somehow or another conjure up something. We get distracted with it, and they're over here doing something else. So I think what we need to do is what we've been doing, focus on taking care of ourselves. That's like Dr. Tula said, nobody's going to do it better than us. Take responsibility. We need, still need to be very careful, be in the team to win. And, we keep saying this. It's unfortunate we're in this situation, but it's like Dr. Tula said, it's better to err in the right than to err and accidentally hurt and make someone sick or kill them. I would be crushed if I went to the grocery store, not wearing my mask, being, let's all get back together again, and I was a spreader. It would kill me to find that I hurt somebody because I took the wrong way. We still know, again, like Dr. Tula said, we don't know what the end result is. And you're even saying people that have been sick and they're still sick, and from June until now. Oh my gosh. I mean, and I talked to a friend of mine, he's never been tested, but he feels like he got it when we were at the Super Bowl, which I think a lot of people did get something. And to this day, he's young. He's a young kid to me, right? He's maybe Anthony's age, maybe younger. Mm-hmm. He's actually younger, but he still had difficulty breathing. And he keeps thinking, should I go get tested? Or, if it's over with, do I just keep trying to treat myself and try to get better? So I think we just need to start taking care of ourselves and not rely on the government to tell us the truth, not rely on Fox News. We've got our panel here. I listen to the doctors here. I listen to my doctors at Duke. All right. And because They still wear this every day.
Mm-hmm.
My doctors still wear this every day. They wash. I see them constantly, more than ever, washing their hands. So they're taking precautions. If they're taking precautions, why not us? The other thing is we don't want a mass spread.
Right.
We can't handle it. And we've proven that when we start getting mass spreads and spikes, we have a lot of fatalities. Mm-hmm. And the reason is that the poverty people, which I just read the story on in Chicago, they don't have the means to treat themselves like Trump did.
Mm-hmm.
All right. They don't even have the means to treat themselves like Dr. Moskowitz suggests. Just take quercetin. You know, why not send the people a box of food with a bottle of quercetin? You know, because that's what Trump did the other day. He sent out food boxes with a letter in there telling people, I'm the one that got you this, so vote for me. But I'm just saying, we're not doing the things to really help people. Our government isn't. I don't know about your government.
I think what happened is that where we have a lot of politics going around in those countries, they have more cases as compared to countries we are focusing on medical and social distancing and stuff like that, because I think policies are something which is very important. And also we haven't learned anything from past 8 months. I mean, as a people, as a citizen, we haven't learned, because we can't, just say that government did this and that. We also have to take certain things which is in our day-to-day life and make sure that we protect ourselves and our family. So I don't know what's happening, but I think the way elections are going on in US and in India as well, with a lot of rallies and a lot of discussions and a lot of drama going on, I think this is also a cause of concern. And I was checking the US data from past 5 days, that the cases are growing almost like double or triple.
That's right. That's right.
And it's a cause of concern, and that the same thing happening in India as well. I mean, Dr. Tula knows that there are a lot of election rallies going to happen in Bihar, so you never know what's going to happen. And then there's data fetching, then there's a lot of stuff also going around.
We got
season
rallies, you know.
Mark?
I'm also
I was going to say that I think part of the problem is what's going on, and I would love to hear Dr. Tula's comments on this as well. And I would argue that it's a global issue, is that the pandemic is being impacted by another pandemic as well. And I've actually alluded to this before, and I know Kimberly has heard me say this, but that's the economical pandemic. I mean, I just had a nice little conversation with my folks over at Duke Power, because my bill had accumulated and things of that nature. So I just worked into a payment arrangement and things of that nature. But there are a lot of folks like me that are dealing with electric bills, dealing with food, dealing with other things of that nature. So I think that is definitely an economical pandemic that is also impacting, and I think it's impacting globally, because I think that's things that are going on not just here in America, but also in India, in a number of other places. So folks are trying to get the correct medicine, get the ways that you want to do things. But I mean, if somebody is telling you to do cleaning on a regular basis and you're having a hard time even going out and getting the detergent and disinfectant to do the cleaning, then you've already lost the battle right then and there. So it's not like it's being provided to you. You still have to go out there and get those supplies. So that's what I think is part of the problem on a global level as well. So Dr. Tula, are you seeing that? And Kim, I see that you raised your hand as well.
Yeah, I want Dr. Tula to answer that.
So what I'm trying to tell you is, you have an economic channels, there is no doubt about it. But what I expect from people is that there will be a subset of people who will need help, right? The government's vision and entire interest should be, and endeavor also should be, to help those people, right? And then there is a subset of people who can survive on their own, right? And then there is another subset of people who have good amount of savings. And why do you save? You save for the rainy day only. Now it is raining at the moment. So we need to understand that we have to prioritize, right? Now, if we have saved for the rainy day and it is raining, so we need to get our resources and just try to stay afloat in this time. Now, for the people who don't have that cover, they will have to go out, they will have to do their earning. But please understand, if the number of people who are being exposed out is going to be less, the chances of the pandemic getting under control is going to be less, right? Yeah. Now, just for the sake of it, you want to party and you want to go out and have a good time. I mean, that is being, I really don't approve of that. I do understand we are social human beings, but we can have a party by maintaining social distancing from our terraces, a community kind of a thing where we are maintaining distances. I mean, there are a lot of things which we can do. I mean, it is ridiculous and being childish if we are not going to adhere to these norms.
Well, I mean, I don't think the conditions are ripe right now. I mean, you've got, at least on the American side, I mean, and I can only speak for this part, and that is we're not leading and we're not likely to lead. And Trump is not leading and in fact engaging in the exact opposite while he's fighting for his own political survival here at home. And so there's no prospect right now that at least I can reasonably see where he would be in a position where, one, anybody would listen to him, two, anybody would trust him, because he spent 4 years stiff-arming everybody around the world, including our allies. And yet, Dr. Tula and Professor Kimberly, that's exactly what I hear you guys calling for. And I think that's what the rest of the world is calling for, this notion, and this idea that we have to get together. But that's clearly not going to happen. And it's exacerbated. And so when you take that, and I guess maybe today I'm just nervous Nelly. But
I'm not nervous and Nelly, because hear me out. New Zealand is out.
Right.
They're done with it. And there was another country that also has nipped it down to nothing. And
also not letting anybody in. They've got
No, Kim, I think Kim,
New Zealand is an absolutely different case. You cannot compare New Zealand to any country of the world. I'll tell you a very interesting example. So Indian cricket team went to play to New Zealand. Now one of the players, he on his shoe had some grass along with mud. So his entire luggage was offloaded and sent back to India. That is the kind of, paranoia which they have. So you can't have a comparison. There is no other country in the world which I've heard do this.
Hang on.
I have one more point.
Okay, but the good news is they didn't lose his luggage. He just didn't get it. So
I
will add one more point.
He had to struggle.
Wow.
During the pandemic last month, or maybe like 50 days ago, New Zealand Prime Minister purposely closed down Auckland because there was a case in a family where 4 people have symptoms. So they have to close down Auckland because of 4 people. That's how they are doing it. And if you follow New Zealand Prime Minister, she does, or she makes sure that they are controlling the COVID and they are making the right kind of policies and bringing people together and trying to get rid of the thing basically. And they said that it's more about public-private partnership, because you can't handle, with the Prime Minister or with the medical team. You need to control yourself and follow the rules. And the more you do it, the early you will be free from COVID. So they are taking a lot of precautions. In fact, if you compare New Zealand with Australia in Melbourne or nearby area, they still have some COVID issues. But apart from that, everything is fine in Australia. But people are still following the precautions and they are taking care of things. But in US, there is nothing like that called a lockdown. I don't know whether they have a lockdown happened earlier, and you still have all the flights going from one place to the other. And so as in India, when we have a lockdown, we don't have any cases. But once we are out of lockdown, we can see the rise in cases. But now it's more about economy, policies, and it's all about the humanity and all those stuff. But no one talks about people who are expiring and who are losing their life, and maybe people who are not able to get cure from COVID completely, because it's more about money power.
So Ankit and Bill, I have a question to you, both of you. Since you are doing a little bit of data analysis also, I would like to put a question to you. So just look around the globe and see the countries where you have women at the top job. How are they doing as compared to others?
We have discussed that, sir. We have discussed that.
Dr. Tula, no, he asked the question, and I'm going to answer it because hands down, I know women in charge lead to better results. Hands down. Less war, okay? Less everything. It is just an entirely different leadership role. And quite frankly, I don't have a problem admitting that, only because I was raised by my mother, a single mother. And in many respects, I think I count myself as lucky because my leadership style, I learned from her. Now, I might be an oddball in the locker room, but I'm perfectly capable of building a team out here in the wrestling world. But Kim, I'm going to defer to you. That's why Kim has co-founder, and I'm merely a correspondent. Kim?
Oh, no, we're a team. This is how most women are, but women are different in nature, and we discussed this the other day. We're more about the nurturing, and it's not to say men are not, okay? But men are taught differently on the playground. Women are taught to run with a budget, a tight budget, right? And we just got different mindsets. But I agree with you. The countries with the women at the helm are the ones who are really surviving this situation, and not just surviving, they're thriving.
Right.
And I think, but what I don't understand is why aren't these countries that are still struggling not sitting down and going over the blueprint? Because I would prefer not reinventing a wheel, right? To me, you guys know how I run a business. Hey, look, so-and-so did this. Let's try it, right? There's nothing wrong with going in and looking at, wow, New Zealand did this. South Africa, they got their people encouraged to do all of the things they want them to because they do a countdown, okay? Stage 5, we're all staying home. Nobody goes anywhere. When we reach so many people infected, we move to stage 4. When we reach so many people infected, we move to stage 3. And when we get 0 people infected for so many weeks, we move to stage 5, where you can go out and live life again. This is what I call the right way. I think every country should be doing something that encourages rather than discourages. Australia was punishing people. I think it worked for a while, but we need to encourage people. All right, if you stay home, we're going to send you a paycheck. If you grow a garden and help feed the community, we'll send you a bigger paycheck. If those kind of things. If you get sick and you stay home, we'll reward you. And I think these are things that Iceland was doing. These are things that New Zealand was doing. Hong Kong, as we know, thrived. But thank you for, saying that the women countries are the ones who are stronger. I think that all the countries are struggling. And I think the leaders need to look at the ones who are surviving and thriving. And the blueprint needs to be shared. And it might be more difficult in some countries to do what New Zealand does. But you know what? I think that, attitude of we're going to do it this way and this is how it's going to be done is working. And we need that tough love now. And I mean, I've been staying home. It's not been fun. I get all my friends calling me wanting to go out. I'm not going, not doing it. I'd rather err right and be alive next year and do things next year.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I can tell you that I personally, okay, I'll get to yank it, but here I'm going to see if I can lighten this up because it is Friday and we're about that time, and Mark usually pulls this maneuver. This is where we have to begin to transition because it's the weekend, and so
it's the weekend.
And so, it's so funny because when I was a kid, this was kind of considered people looked down on. I was a latchkey kid. So I would walk home from school, turn the lock, get on the phone, call my mother at work and say I'm home, and then I'd be locked up. So on the one hand, I'm trained for this. But this time it's different because we have the advent of the internet. I have the IBM TV family, and I want you to know I wake up every day and I think of this group and I begin to sing. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know how much I love you, because being a shut-in is not far away. In any event, it seems to me that I really enjoy smarter television, smarter global community, and to an extent, Kim, you're absolutely right. If we follow the rules and we stay home and we be smart about this stuff, then we can get through it. Because we have a long haul ahead of us, and each day we think that there's going to be something right around the corner when it's not. Forced studies are on hold. We don't know the nature of it. It's except for quercetin. But
and next week I'm going to be selfish, and we're not going to talk about COVID when Dr. Toole is here.
Okay.
I want to talk about things that he does, and I want to learn some tips to keep myself from looking.
Actually, I want to learn about a chin lift, doctor.
So before we do that, I want you to zoom into your window, because you've got those beautiful Halloween masks, if I'm not wrong.
Oh, Kimberly.
Yes,
Let me see. All right, let me see what I can do, because it's hard.
So
Yeah, I can't zoom.
I'm sorry, Kim.
Well,
My
we're
kid
getting
has
the
been
mask.
after me. Yeah.
Oh,
So
yes, the
masks
masks are
ready.
wonderful.
So yeah, that's why I saw those, because my kid today was telling me that Halloween is around the corner. I want to be Jim the Killer, if I'm not wrong. So that's why.
There it goes.
Yeah, there it goes.
There we go. There's the Halloween costumes. There's some great Halloween stuff on there and everything. By the way, we missed
There's my bird.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Kim, we missed a great guest that was supposed to have been on the show on Plant a Seed last week, but unfortunately they did not make the appearance. But I'm talking to Tish, and we're going to see if we can get an appearance. But the chiropractor that she had on last week actually also has in his office a Mr. Bones. So Mr. Bones was supposed to make an appearance, but he did not make an appearance. So we're going to see if Mr. Bones can make an appearance sometime in the near future.
Every day I add something new to the set, and I'm going to take out some of my big characters. I've got some bigger than me that are ghostly and haunting. I used to host a huge Halloween party out here every year. And I had a casket and candy and junk for the kids to be in the casket. Sometimes a real person would be in there. But yeah, I love Halloween because it's the time that you can do stage theater kind of things and not be looked at as crazy. So it was my opportunity to get a little wild. Everybody would dress in costume and just have fun. But thank you for asking. Every day, that's my goal, is to decorate a little bit and have fun. So.
And behind you on the table, the skulls. They are so appropriate for 2020, whether it's the economy, the pandemic, or simply Halloween. It just, boo,
Hey, we're living in scary times. Just like I said, every day I wake up, I feel like I'm in one of those sci-fi movies where the whole world caught a virus and died. And, there's zombies out there walking around spreading the virus. Oh, wait, that's real. It's real. It's not, people, this is real. And we need to pretend like we need to act like it's real, right? And the best thing to do is stay home, take precautions, order the Family Dollar store if you live in the U.S. You don't have to go out and get your supplies and cookies and junk. But just, love one another. Be nice to people. This is something else I've noticed. People have not been nice to people lately.
Yeah, they have been kind of cranky, haven't they, Kim?
Yeah, it's been a cranky season. And remember that this is the month of the 2 full moons. So we have 13 months, 13 full moons. Try to appreciate what nature is giving us right now. And just appreciate each other, respect each other. And I think we're going to survive this. And next year, hopefully things will be done. And I'm going to go on my road trip and then come to India at the end of it. That's my last stopping place, and have a party.
Hey, it sounds like a great idea. And I just came up with another idea based on something that a friend of mine used to do. And I think that it would be a great idea for right here on IBM.TV. But a friend of mine, I think it was about 6 years ago, she actually hosted a murder mystery opportunity and everything. And actually, the murder mystery had as its victim none other than Marilyn Monroe, or somebody that was actually inspired by Marilyn Monroe, I should say. But definitely that went on back in 2014. So I think I need to reach out to some of my theater friends, and we can have a murder mystery right here on IBM.TV. And that can definitely lighten the mode a lot of ways. And so I think that might be one way that we can have some fun and everything. And we can even do it virtually. So the murder mystery can be a virtual murder mystery. So there can be ways to get around even in what the times that we're facing now.
Hey, and you can also go register Among Us at that game and play. That's a murder mystery too. I got it. I'm on. So, but I think we need to wrap up. And Kit, do you want to tell us what we've got going on?
No, we don't have to wrap up right now.
No, Kimberly. We were wrapping up the serious portion just before we got into the 12 hour.
Yes, the 12 to 1. So.
I'm confused with my days. It's been a long week because they changed my medication on me, and it's been a little weird. I'm not sleeping at night, because they're experimenting again. So
no, don't worry, Kim, because the doctors changed the medication on America when they put the president on steroids. And now we really don't know what we're doing.
So I do know when to stop when I get angry or ill. I will bring up, seeing how we'll lighten the mood a little bit. I did watch both of the town halls last night.
I did too.
I felt like I was real impressed with the TV host for Biden. I felt like I got more out of that information. Mm-hmm. But I was very disappointed in the TV host for Trump because I felt like it was just a gotcha mode for them to build up their stars and not give information to the people. I think we need information. I think, like we're doing here on IBM TV, sharing information, and we just need to be respectful. And I don't even see it in the TV host. And I didn't think it was funny. I didn't think it was cool. I thought that it was a very, very poorly, undignified set of questions. I think that we need to get off of some of that. If you want to know about the tax stuff, ask what he's going to do to change the policy so they benefit us. Leave him alone, right? If you want to ask him about how he survived COVID, ask him, but don't let him just play off the 2 drugs that he's promoting. Ask him, did he get oxygen? Did you take painkillers? Oh my God, even Tylenol, extra strength. Did you take painkillers? I want to hear this, right? We don't get to hear any of this. But I want to say that our not just our country, but the whole world, I feel like there's this pressure building up, and like a pressure cooker, and we're all like just not being nice lately. And we need to. Dr. Tula said, put some ice on it and cool down a little bit.
Right.
And I want to tell you, Dr. Tula, I've been doing that. I changed up my exercise routine every day. And at the end of the exercise routine, to get rid of any inflammation, I've been putting ice on me and calming down and cooling off a little bit, because I think we just need to rethink things. But Kim, it's not good. I don't want to play a mystery game.
Yeah, and Kim, I just had a thoughts for you and everything. One thing I'm curious about Bill's idea of this as well is one of the things that I think has a problem with town halls is that they depend a lot on the audience questions as well. So yes, I did not think that the moderator did all that great of a job, but it's also dependent on the audience and what questions the audience raises. So I think that there is sometimes, though I like the town halls, they can also create some framework that is hard. But one of the things I was going to say that I'm going to compliment, and people know I'm not the biggest fan of the man currently at 1600, but I actually did like one of the questions, and that was the young lady that came on and actually complimented him before she asked the question. So she actually complimented him on his looks and all of that, and she was about the same age range and everything of that nature. So that was one of them cases of folks being actually kind to somebody when she asked her question. So we probably need more of that in life as well. So like I said, I will give that lady respect for at least trying to use the art of complimenting before asking her question. It was one of the audience members.
Well, and I think that's good, but I think that this was a situation where the town hall should have pre-screen some of the questions a little bit to make sure that people were not trying to put gigs in. This should be more about how much information can we get that's important to society, not about, oh, we got you. I don't like that right now. I want real information. I was so impressed with the TV host at Biden. Right. And I know today was Medical Friday, and I didn't mean to run off Dr. Tula, but he was here for a while. Gosh. And I did want to add, next week, we are talking to Dr. Tula about real important stuff, like how to keep our skin healthy. Yeah. Real important stuff about preventing wrinkles and other things we could do while we're at home, and how to properly wash. In fact, I was going to send him a list of questions, how to properly wash our face so we don't cause more wrinkles, what scrubs are healthier for you than not, because these are the things he knows. I mean, he's been doing frontline work too, but this is what he does, is how people look better and feel better about themselves. So But I agree with. I'm going to go back to that. I agree with you that the one lady was polite,
Right.
but I think that we need answers not just for the U.S. but for the world.
Right. Yeah.
And we're making a spectacle of ourselves by just homing in on things that are not important.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So there is one more data I wanted to tell. I mean, in front of Dr. Tola, that if you check out the stats, 70% of the men have COVID positive as compared to the women around the world, and in India it's 76%. In Europe it's 69%.
Wow.
So, and there is no, I mean, study as of now that why, but what I understand is that I think women are more disciplined. That's number one. Secondly, they know how to tackle these situations, and that's what we can see. I mean, because they're, I'm not sure. I mean, they might be having more immunity as well. But there are certain ways. In India also, a lot of women, I mean, they are doing work from home and they are managing the family as well. So there are a lot of reasons. But still, I mean, the disease is caused almost like double men as compared to women. So we need to.
That's an interesting statistic, and maybe we can home in on this. I do think it's because what you said that we're staying home more often. But something could be said about we're just meaner. We're not going to get it. No, I'm just kidding.
Kim, there's a problem with that though. You did not use your mean button though earlier. There's a problem with this whole thing though. You didn't use your mean button earlier because we just had a moment that was kind of like Celebrity Apprentice. We had Bill attempting to sing, and if you were mean, you would have cut him off. So like I said, because he tried to sing and he did like a decent job. But Bill, stay in your day job. Don't go into singing or anything of that nature because I think you can't go into that.
I mean, stage work. So I enjoy the thing is that we need to do some goofballing stuff, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think that we need to find something to inspire people to be nice to each other, kind of like what my teacher did when we were young, and she would have each of us once a week on Friday after the Pledge of Allegiance. We would have to write something nice about someone different in the room every week. And then at the end of the year, she gave us a little gift of all of the nice things that each person said about us. And I just thought that, to me, when I took that home, it made me feel good all summer, right? But yes, Bill.
Can you say something nice about our president?
I can.
Okay.
But you know what? Every time I do, people shoot me down. Even the people who like him. Oh, you're just saying that.
Oh, really?
I said something nice. Can't you say something nice back to me? No, I have said something nice about him. Mm-hmm. There are things that I say things, even like I was really not thrilled about a lot of things that Obama did, but I always said something nice about him. One, because he's easy to say something nice about. Obama has got the nicest smile I've ever seen. Yeah. Like, I used to have dreams that I was going to go have Thanksgiving dinner with him. I used to just think that would be so cool. But Trump, you know, he's done some things that are good, and he's got pretty blue eyes. I don't know if anyone's ever noticed that, but he does. He has very pretty blue eyes, and in many ways, I admire his spunkiness. Like,
no doubt about that.
I think he's not the right person for president. I thought that he was a great for whatever he did in The Apprentice. I thought that was really cool. I think he creates some interesting things. I don't think he's a good businessman, but he must be, because, like, you know, he announces that he has millions and millions of dollars and things like that. So yes, I can say some nice things about him. I think he's got a beautiful family. I think they're very beautiful people.
And I just wanted to point out that, see, here at IBM TV, we just tell the truth, regardless of what side. There's nothing gotcha about it, and that it's not this monolithic ideological kind of thing. It's like, come as you are, and we can, you know.
I want to tell you, if he came on my show as much as you see me post about him, I would be dignified and ask him the questions that are important for the country.
Yeah, I was going to point that because I think I saw you doing it, and that is IBM TV could have done a better job interviewing him.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, tell us that, Professor.
I would have. I've set aside my differences, no matter who's sitting at the table with us at IBM TV or Money Masters, and I focus on the content that's good for them and good for the people. I don't focus on what's going to make me, oh, gotcha. I'm not going to do, well, I mean, I pick on them sometimes if there's something we can have fun with, but it's only if they want to have fun with it. Like John Fanning, you know, he's a jokester, and I realized there were some things he was okay with. But absolutely, I mean, okay, let me ask you guys this. Each of you got to answer, and we'll start with Bill, go around. If Trump came on our show, what is one question you would ask him? One question.
I would ask him what makes him laugh.
Oh, that's a good one. And Kip.
I will ask him that who are the advisors, whom he follows the instructions, because he does a lot of work which is not planned, and suddenly there's a disaster. So I think the advisors or the people who work, closely with Trump, they are also not capable.
All right, that's good. That's a good, honest, healthy question, Mark.
Yeah, actually, you mentioned a show that I actually used to be very much a fan of and everything of that nature. So if he was to come on the online dinner party, we would actually start off asking about the Celebrity Apprentice. So like I said, I would go back into learning more about the Celebrity Apprentice, why he came up with that idea, what he think he's learned from that show, and maybe even what he learned from that show that he brought to the presidency. But I would start off with the Celebrity Apprentice.
There you go. And I would ask him, what would he change? Not for popularity reasons, honestly. What would he change now if he could go back?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I would just ask that one, not to be a gotcha, but let's really just, is there something that you, if you could change, would you? Now, he's not a kind of person to, like those kind of questions, but it's not a gotcha question. It's, gosh, is there something we can change if we go back, and would you use that going forward?
Right.
And so, and that's twofold. That's not fair, but there's, there we are at IBM TV. We don't want to gotcha, right?
I would ask him, because I can't imagine that he is the way he is portrayed as just angry 24/7.
No.
I don't think anybody can be that angry, and it just seems to me. I mean, he's got to be able to crack a joke, because he's landed 3 different wives. So I mean, he's got to have something about him, and figure what makes him laugh. I'm sorry.
He's short-tempered and egoistic. I think that's why things are going on. But in India, how people know about Trump and who is Donald Trump and all this stuff, because of the casinos, and also because he was very active in WWE at one point of time with McMahon, and he fought a fight and then he got bald and stuff like that. So people in India knows Trump because of these 2 reasons. But when everyone knows that, he could be the next president of US, everyone was surprised and pained. But we also have one more similar character. In India, a businessman. He is in London right now. He's also similar to what Trump is. Not in that impact, but he's also very much into the funky thing and all those stuff. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people, with different characteristics. But I think important part is that when someone is in the chair, we have to respect the chair and we have to move it forward, because he's still 4 years to be a part of and to be the president of the United States, and then he still have to hand over. If Biden wins, he still have to hand over the right and wrong things to Biden. So I think we have to wait till the end and see how it comes. But Bill, I have a question that in this scenario, because of the COVID, do you think that because of the COVID, Trump is losing? If there is no COVID, he could still have a good fight back with the Democrats? What do you think about that?
I think if there was no pandemic, the race would definitely be closer. I think it would be nail biting, and it would go either way. But I think it would be neck and neck, because so right now Biden is, depending on the poll, his national lead is anywhere from 11 to 13 points. I think that if we're no pandemic, because we have to assume the economy would be open, stock market would be humming along. Yes, we'd still have the social protests, and I'm trying to think and we'd have our problems with foreign policy and the tariffs and things. But the race, I think, would be within the margin of error, which is generally anywhere from 3.5 to 4 percentage points. And I think it would be anybody's guess. It would be an entirely different kind of campaign. But I absolutely think that. Mark, you had your hand up?
Yeah, my question for you, and actually Angus can answer this as well, is most of the times when a president leaves office, and we're going to assume that he's going to lose the election and everything, or we can even go back 4 years, assuming he wins or whatever. But most of the time when a president leaves the office, they generally go into the speaking tour. They go into something that is a passion of theirs. I mean, Jimmy Carter was definitely involved with a lot of human rights and things of that nature. We haven't had any entertainment president, I would argue, since Ronald Reagan, who had also been an actor in Hollywood. But definitely Trump is an entertainment celebrity type. Where, Bill, do you think he will go after he is done? So, I mean, I've heard people speculating about Russia, but I'm talking about career-wise. Will he try to go back and be the producer of The Apprentice? Will we have the president running a TV show, or an ex-president? Or where do you think he will go afterwards?
You know, I've been thinking a lot about that because it is such a unique situation. I think, certain things are always true with former presidents. So should he be defeated in 18 days, come the following January 21st, when he leaves office, every ex-president gets a book deal. So they write their memoirs and everything else. That's just standard procedure. And so he'll get those royalties. And then this is a piece that people really don't think about. From the time that somebody is first elected president, he or she, one of the first decisions they have to make is they have to decide where their library is going to be.
Right. And
you wouldn't believe it, but it starts like within the first 2 weeks of you assuming the office of the presidency. And at that point, you've got to think about where you want to establish your presidential center. And then generally, post-presidency, the presidents go around and they fundraise and they raise monies to build their presidential center. And then what they do is they hand that over as a gift to the United States, and thereafter the United States Archives takes over the operations of the center. So Trump would be, he should be occupied, or would be occupied, with where he's going to build his the Trump Presidential Library and or conference center and stuff like that. And in this case, I'm not sure where he would go. I mean, on the one hand, does he build it in New York City, where his ratings are not quite so hot? Or does he build it in Florida, where, so he'd have a book, a library.
I think that he will choose the golf resort, and also he will try to work on a Trump museum, basically, because that should be the next big thing he wants to do after the presidency. Because and also, I mean, by that way, he just wanted to make sure that he's still powerful and he still belongs to the world and all those things, because he will try to do everything because he's still very active.
All right, well, think of it this way, and then Mark, I'm going to come to you in a second. But think of it this way: think of because he is a television personality and such. Right. Think of, say, if Rush Limbaugh was an ex-president. So I mean, he's going to sit there and he's going to have an opinion, and people are going to ask him, what do you think about the next administration? So he's going to have that certain amount of gravitas. And so he may be sought after as the speaker, and I'm sure he'll promote that. And his fees will be, extremely high, the biggest and the best, because it's beautiful and it's Trump. And so it's interesting. I think the book, the library, and then I don't know where he'd go in the speaking circuit. His wealth of friends.
Well, I've got an idea. I'm going to bring this and I will toss it to Kim after I make this statement. We were figuring out what President Trump will do after he loses the election. So that's where this whole conversation was going, Kimberly. So one of the things that I think we're going to do, me and Bill are going to team up, and we're going to do some serious negotiation. And we're going to bring a new show to IBM.TV called The President Apprentice. So he's going to start a whole new show right here on IBM.TV called The President Apprentice. So like I said, he will try to create these new presidents just like he did with the celebrities. But, they have to go through a screening process here on IBM.TV. And he is the executive producer of that. So that's what me and Bill are going to negotiate and make that happen. But Kim, what is your thoughts?
Mark, that's not a bad idea. Because Kim, first, while you collect your thoughts, I mean, he does have a solid following of about 40% of the American population. So that's quite a substantial viewership, Kimberly.
And everybody talks about fidelity, because he's never cheated, I don't think. But like with the Cal situation down here, does fidelity change your vote? It doesn't matter what he does. It's like he said, I can go into the middle of Times Square and shoot everybody, and you guys are going to love me. So I think certain people learn how to get that following. It's kind of like Jim and Tammy Baker, praise the Lord. Just people, no matter, and then you can make, even if you do wrong, you'll sit there and go, yeah, I did wrong. Clinton, yeah, I did wrong. Mm-hmm. Yeah, what are you going to do? Get rid of me? No. People loved him even more. I mean, didn't we re-elect Clinton after he really screwed around? So
no, he was in his second.
Now the question is, Bill. Now the question is that if Trump will be re-elected as president, what will Biden do?
Actually, Biden answered that question.
Yeah, he answered that question last night.
That's exactly right. Go ahead, Kim. You remember what he said?
Continue doing the work that he does. He's going to go back and teach. Mm-hmm. He's going to continue working on policies that he's always been a part of, and he's going to, do the things he loves to do, and that's continue doing the right things for the people. He's not going to stop. But I love the fact that I'm going to go back if they have me, and I'm going to continue teaching.
Yeah, and
no, I applaud that big time. And one of the other things I was going to add is I think that you just mentioned a case that's going on here in Durham, North Carolina, and we're being lighthearted and this Howard hour and everything. I've actually got to say that I think, because I saw that Cal's numbers, Cal Cunningham is running against Tom Tillis for the Senate seat, but his numbers are actually up. So he's actually increased his amount of support in the polls and everything. So I actually think that Cal has discovered a secret swing vote. Cal has discovered the player vote. So, Bill, those folks that are like players that were never going to vote for anybody in the first place, they are now going and deciding that they're going to vote for Cal because, there are people in the world that are players. So Cal has discovered the secret player vote. So like I said, the secret block called the player vote.
Here's what happened. I think Tom was being too big of a tattletale and pointing the finger too much, and people got sick of it, like me, because it's like, well, Tom, you cheated on us. Like, you told us everything's okay, don't worry about it, and you're dumping your stock. And because you did that, I lost money. I lost a lot of money because if he had told me ahead of time, or if I'd listened to Sasha, actually, I probably would have been okay. But I lost a lot of money because, he was out there dumping his stock and telling us, oh, don't worry, everything's okay. So, as far as I'm concerned, he cheated on us. And I came back with that. And I think a lot of people were like, yeah, you're right. And I'm sorry that the other guy cheated on his wife. But that doesn't matter in politics anymore. What have you got? Trump
administration denies wildfire aid to California in a rare refusal. Wow.
Well, Trump also turned down the bill that Biden has been pushing for domestic violence victims, where the law needed to be adjusted so that the boyfriends, when they get released, they don't have the right to hold a gun. What happened was that somebody got that precedent set. And so Biden stays on top of these things, right? And he's like, okay, that's a part of the loophole that somebody found that we didn't know. He admits, okay, but you can't get everything in every law. The key is staying on top of it. So Biden went back and said, okay, we need to fix this part of the law because the husband, if you're married, the husband can't have a gun, but when you get a restraining order. But for some reason, the boyfriend can. And so Biden wanted to get that, and Trump wouldn't pass it. Trump was like, no, I believe in guns, and I do too, but I don't think an offender of domestic violence should be able to get it. I think the restraining order should work for them. But I've seen this happen a lot in precedents of law in domestic violence, where the offenders get the law switched in their favor through a loophole. I've seen it 100 times, and I've been there in court. Where the women get slapped in the face. So But the thing is Biden is not going to stop. But Trump also denied funding for domestic violent victims.
Yeah, definitely. I did have one other.
Denied funding for wildfires.
That's just crazy. But I do have one other thing because, like I said, I know that Bill likes me to keep it lighthearted during this hour and everything. So, Ankit actually referred to something earlier, which was that Trump was involved in the whole wrestling world and things of that nature for a minute and everything. So, my question to everybody on the panel is, if after the elections are over, and it can be either one, both Biden, well, actually, it's going to be both of them, both Biden and Trump, you could see them in an athletic contest. Who would you want to see in an athletic contest, and what athletic contest would you want to see them participate in? So I'm deferring to Bill first, and then we'll go around. So, Bill, if you could see Trump and Biden in an athletic contest, it could be any athletic contest. We could even have them doing cricket if that's what Ankit wants to do. But what athletic contest do you want to see?
Actually, I think for me, it would just be Biden, and it would be real simple. Biden and baseball. Nothing gets more classic American than that. So if I see him at the plate, or just pitching as a pitcher or a batter, just for an iconic moment. And I actually, if I had my druthers, there was that movie called The Natural with Robert Redford. And the one time he was up and he had his bat, and he had a special bat, and he connected, and lightning struck, and then the lights went, and I mean, Biden at the bat. That, you see, maybe if somebody on the campaign is, listening here at IBM TV, they should do something. They should come up with a moniker and here, you can have it for free. I'm not even worried about it. Biden at the bat, ready for America. There you go. And then
I like it.
Baseball, and say Biden doesn't bunt, he bats. He swings for the fences.
Home run.
All right. I love it. What about you, Ankit? You can see either Biden or Trump or both of them in a sport. It can be a sport in your country. What do you want to see them participating in?
I think the chessboard looks perfectly fine because politics is like a chess, and I think they would prefer to play chess somewhere. But still, I believe that, a basketball court is also good enough because it's easy to throw away a lot of players and play a game. Maybe a game between Democrats and Republicans.
Okay.
A basketball game between Trump and Biden. Okay.
One-on-one. I like it. What about you, Kim?
I like the chessboard.
Okay.
I'm going to go with a classic, simple game for the both of them. Maybe they both play. I think it would be funny to see, Trump play football, seeing how he keeps talking about how he got football back out there. Yeah, right. But I don't want him to get crushed and hurt. But I think a classic game of golf. Majority, I don't know if Biden plays, but majority of politicians will always do a round of golf. I even learned how to play golf so that I could work with the executive Japanese when I worked for Japan. It was definitely a way to connect. So I think a good classic round of golf.
Yeah.
Them out there together.
Yeah.
And not saying rude things, but just put it aside and let's play.
Wait. And more importantly, being honest about your score. Because I hear rumors that things slip and slide there. And, because actually, what's funny? There was, because, I kind of do a wink and a nod at golf and I got clubs or whatever. But I was reading this article and because they were trying to compare the character of the person. And they went through and they said that Trump had claimed that he had won these golf club championships. Of course, they were his golf clubs that he won the championships at. Except that and he came in with the club score each time at these various places, and of course he claimed the trophy. But it turns out that they had photos and video of him being halfway around the world when the tournament took place, and so it was like. And so then they went and they found the gentlemen or the people that actually played in the tournament, who actually won the tournament. And then they were told when they went to get their things, oh no, Trump turned in his golf score, his golf card, and won the tournament. So, Tim, with that caveat, sure, a game of golf between Biden and
golf, I can see that.
The best games I ever went to, funnest things I ever went to is a PGA tournament.
Oh, really?
I don't like to watch golf on TV.
Uh-huh.
I had so much fun there. They drink a lot. But I've had VIP passes, somebody gave me VIP passes, so I got to go into the nice booths and ride in the carts. And you got to be like, so let me tell you one thing though, you got to be dead silent.
Very
If you're
quiet.
standing, you can't breathe silent when they're up on the tee.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, if they had machine guns out or sharpshooters, they would shoot you. But it is very serious. I mean, very, very serious. But it's courteous. But I loved sitting in the booths, and we would sit there and whisper and talk about what's he gonna do and stuff like that. I thought it was fun.
No, golf is fun. Golf is fun. I actually went to a celebrity golf tournament a couple of times, so I've been to a couple of those and actually helped put together one at one point here in North Carolina. So that was kind of fun. So I agree that golf can be very interesting. I have an uncle that before he had all his health issues used to play regularly, and I think he still will pick up the golf sticks and everything every once in a while and get the game going, like I said, because he is still, it was very much of a great golfer. But for Biden and Trump and everything, I'm thinking that they need to do something a little bit more physical, but a lot fun and everything. So I'm picturing Biden and Trump in a Tour de France bicycle race. So I'm picturing them in a Tour de France bicycle race. So I think they need to do a Tour de France bicycle race because I'm visualizing that, and like the race, the sprint to the end and all of that. So that could be really fun. Let's have them in a Tour de France race. I did want to just come back to something that y'all said about golf and everything. My fear about the golf match is that some of our celebrity athletes might decide to do those side bets. Because I'm like seeing Charles Barkley and Michael Jordan and a lot of the other guys off on the side, like trying to decide whether they're going to hit the sticks and everything. And as Bill knows, and anybody that follows ESPN knows, those guys put a whole lot of money on those bets. So like I said, I'm seeing like a whole lot of money being bet by our celebrities as they're going like, nope, Trump isn't going to hit that shot. $1 million on the line.
Yeah, it's rather obscene, but
that would be an obscene scene to see them wearing a suit like that. I don't know. I just
no, you're right. The bicycling shorts, and then the Tour de France jerseys, and maybe which one gets the yellow jersey, and then the helmets. I think it would be hilarious.
I think it would be a hoot, though. I really do, to see them even ride a bike. I'm sure they both can. I'm sure they're both physically fit. I mean, I'm sure the president is made to do physically fit routines every day and of some kind. I mean, when you got a medical staff that lives with you, basically, you're probably encouraged to stay very healthy. And I think Biden, he looks healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Like for his age, I shouldn't even say for his age, he looks like he stays in physical fit. Mm-hmm. I think Biden is a no nonsense man. So.
Okay, I have a question for the panel. What advice would you give the world or Americans for the next 18 days as a way of saying something to them that'll help them ride out these last 18 days of the election? Okay, we'll take a moment. I will go first.
Okay.
So that it'll give you guys a chance to kind of collect your thoughts. And I think what I would say to all of our viewers is simply this. Just ignore the rest of the noise. Everything that possibly could have been said has been said, and there is nothing new that is going to show up in the next 18 days. So just be safe, plan, make sure you vote, plan how you're going to vote, and take some me time and go to the spa and just vote and then go to the spa and let this go, because I don't know that there's anything new in the next 18 days. So, Mr. Kimberly, which one would you like to go? Which one's ready?
Ankit, what kind of advice?
Because, actually, Ankit, in your case, you're talking to the entire globe. So you've got 1.3 billion Indians that that you need to kind of help out here, and so you've got a heavy load. So, what are your words of wisdom, Ankit?
No, I mean, I think I am not sure, but whatever pictures I've seen of especially from North America, people are not following the mask and all those stuff. So I will stick to the mask thing, that please wear mask and please make physical distancing. And also, I know that elections are very important, but don't get rid of those rallies. Whatever virtually you can do, just plan to do that and make sure that you are safe and secure for your family and friends, because we can have this election, but we have a lot of future elections as well coming up, and we have to make sure that we are healthy and safe. That's what I can say.
Okay.
I'll jump in. I would say that it's very, you know, like Bill just said, there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of stuff that folks are doing. There's a lot of these crazy ads and everything. I would say, because I've had this mentioned on a couple of my shows here on IBM.TV, just go find a nice quiet room. It can be your bedroom. Get some rest, relax, and read a comfortable book. So that's what I would tell the world.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing. You know, Bill, I laughed when you said what you said, because you said everything's been said and nothing else can happen. You don't know Trump. I think something else is going to happen. I don't know what it is. I'm waiting for the fire rocket to go off. I have no idea what it is. We got 18 days. Something's going to happen. Sorry, you know, but that's how he does things. And that's how, you know, he pushed along in the last campaign. So something's going to happen. But I agree with all of y'all. Chill out.
Yep.
You know,
go to the dollar store, buy you some snacks, buy you a face mask, a hair mask, do your nails, you know, chill out and relax. Unfortunately, I am one of those who decided to go to the voting polls. For the life of my whole family did online or paper, whatever, mail in. But in my heart of hearts, I want to go because I just want to make sure it's there. But I am going to take precautions. I'm going to drive by if it's real crowded. I'm not going to go in. I've got, you know, I'm going to sanitize the minute I get back. I might even go in my white suit. I got a white, what do you call it? Emergency.
Protective outfit.
Yeah, a lab suit.
You know, actually, people are doing that. Look, I saw this one photo that a friend had sent to me. And it was a photo of this woman. She was in her 90s, but she was in a full airtight white, you know, with a clear plastic hat, completely dressed up. And she was putting her envelope, her mail-in ballot in the mailbox. But she was fully clothed in her PPE. Go ahead.
My PPE equipment is the weirdest thing because I got it when I was at the NFL. And I said, you know what? I'm going to take this home with me. Because I went into a clean lab. What people don't understand about the PPE equipment, they think it's about protecting you, and it's really about protecting what's outside of you, keeping you from harming everything else. But yeah, but I agree with you guys. We need to calm down. Just, you know, continue doing the good things.
Right, because, you know, Kim, after, and Mark and Ankit, after this 18 days, we still have a network. And we've got all these shows, and, you know, we're increasing. And so I'm like, you know, we can finally get back to focusing in on Mark's radio show. What is it? It's musings and music.
Mullins Music and Memories. It's a radio show with Mark Lee and the online dinner party. So those are the three. And
that was so funny. Please go watch. If you've got some time this weekend, go watch this week's Mullins Music. I laughed so hard. I'm telling you, I laughed really hard. It was funny. And I had to stop and watch and then go back and watch it. But these two guys kept the show going because Mark kept beaming out. These guys have animation tools.
Yes, they do.
Oh, yeah?
They have dancing hamburgers and talking.
They brought the Cookie Monster just for Lynn and everybody else.
You got to just go watch a few minutes of it. It is funny. It's healthy funny. It's not, you know, it's very, very, but these two guys kept the show going. I want to watch Brandon and his dancing show, Distancing, because I call it Fun Dancing, but I need to do that one day. We've got so many good things to focus on. Another thing I do want to add to people, what I like to do is if I don't know who to vote for, if I'm really, you know, of course, everybody's out there giving their opinions.
Right.
My uncle taught me this a long time ago. I like to write down 10 good things and 10 bad things.
Right.
You got to find them. And you're going to find it, 10 good and bad. And then you weigh the risks of each person. And don't say you can't find bad things about Trump, and don't say you can't find bad things about Biden, because I you know, I can find good and bad about both.
Right.
I can write them, and it's not just, you know, their appearances or anything. But do this, and I bet, and go out and look at the real policies that are being set and that they're both enforcing. Go, because they exist. There's a list where you can see who's enforcing what. Mm-hmm. And I bet the way you vote might change. I bet it might change.
Thank you.
I'm curious to know that because Biden was also in the office for like around 8 years with Obama, and Trump is there for 4 years. Both have a baggage with them. So what's the baggage they will be fulfilling in the next 4 years?
Oh, good question. Bill, I'll throw that to you first.
Well, I think for Biden, I think that there's a lingering question of whether or not he's up to the size of the task. Because he would, I mean, when you sit back and you think about it, it's, yes, we're American-centric and we're thinking about our economy and our pandemic and, you know, our social relations and social justice. But they are really just worldwide. Our economy is the world's economy. So when he's thinking about that, he's thinking, you know, it's a worldwide issue. When he's thinking about is dealing with social issues, that'll set an example for good or bad around the rest of the world. And then if there's a change in our approach to dealing with the pandemic, that is going to send a message around the world. And so the question becomes, you know, there's always that saying that man, moment, and man in the moment. Does the moment create the man? Does the man usher in the moment? And this is one of those moments. And the question is Biden up to that task? Because you know, and can he do it? Because the issues are so large. So the baggage would be that he gets in and that he can't. The surprise would be that he gets in and then he really is, for the first time in his political career, his own man and sets off on a course that could very well be one of the most impactful presidencies in the history of the United States. So,
I think so. I just want to make an announcement, something I didn't realize. North Carolina has just hit 2 consecutive day record highs of COVID-19. Yesterday was 2,568, and today is 2,684.
And along those same lines, and I just wanted to give
new cases each day that we're getting. That's high for one state.
Yeah,
that's really high.
Is it because of the voting pattern? Is it because people are going out and vote? Is it?
So you think about our rates today would be impact from 2 weeks ago.
Right.
So I think it's been from the rallies because, you know, the president.
But okay, I mean, now in India, I mean, whenever we got tested, we are getting results within 24 hours. So why we are talking about 2 weeks now?
Well, because I think it takes a while for people to say, hey, I'm sick, I need to go get tested. I don't think everybody's getting tested.
I got a point, but a lot of people, when they're going out for vote, they know that they're vulnerable with a lot of other people. Because Zach also mentioned that he was on the queue for like a couple of hours. So
45 minutes.
On paper side, I mean, I think they got tested themselves.
So I don't know. I just know that that's a lot of people in 2 consecutive days. I know that we've had rallies. We've had protests. We've had all kinds of just things spinning around in North Carolina. Schools reopened.
Right. Speaking of schools reopening, that's one of the things I want to do. Is I did want to give a shout out to one of the losses that we had here, and I know that we're a global community, but he is in a university setting. So they are saying that the St. Augustine president who passed away did pass away of COVID. So definitely he was there. He's been put down as one of the fatalities of COVID, and he passed away, I think it was yesterday and everything. So definitely they are now saying that it was COVID related. And that's one of our large historical HBCUs here in the North Carolina area, in Raleigh area, actually, to be specific.
You know, I think if we just batten down the hatches a little bit longer, we'll have less fatalities. Again, this spike is going to get to the point that our hospitals can't handle it. And when you start getting spikes, people get sicker for some reason. It's like they're not getting the help they need, or I don't know, but it seems like it gets so worse. More people have to go to the hospital. So I'm just, you know, people batten down the hatches.
Right.
We got to batten down the hatches. But we got 5 minutes to go because it is almost 1 o'clock now. So I'm going to get unserious again because we got to keep it light and everything. I know yesterday or last week I mentioned the superheroes. So I'm going back to the superheroes, but I'm going to make a caveat on it this time to make it a little bit harder. I need everybody, and I see we got Lynn with us as well, but to pick their favorite superhero, but it's got to be a superhero. And I think that even us guys ought to do it. Let's try to figure out a woman superhero that we want to be, since we were talking about the women of the world and everything. So I'm going to go first. I'll be like the male version of Catwoman. So definitely I'll go with Catwoman.
And Kit, who would be your superwoman?
Superwoman at this point of time, it's difficult to have a superwoman. I need to think about it.
Okay.
Bill?
I'm still mulling it over. Just give me one more minute. Go to Lynn and you know.
Lynn, what superwoman hero would you want to be?
It's been so long since I've seen one of those movies. I'm not sure I even know who they are. Was there an equivalent of Superman?
There
Superwoman?
Yes.
Okay.
Superwoman.
I'll pick Superwoman.
You know, that's good. I like Catwoman. I like all of them. I get into some of the Captain Marvel type stuff or the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, but my favorite is Black Widow.
Yep.
Okay.
So, and I also like some of the bad ones like Chameleon, right? She rocks it. And the Frozen Girl. But I think the Black Widow, I like her brains. I like her tactics. So, all right, Bill, it's your turn.
Yeah, I'm torn between the modern Wonder Woman.
I do like Wonder Woman.
And then it's it's from the Avengers. It's the role that Scarlett Johansson plays.
Oh,
Mrs. Peel?
No, I don't know if it's Mrs. Peel, but I mean, she's got like all these skills, and then she can influence people's thoughts and just all this stuff. Like, you know.
Yeah, you're right. She is definitely rocks it.
Yes, she does. And so, I mean, I think that character, you know, either that or Wonder Woman.
I know Ankit's still thinking. We have the dollar store.
Yes.
We've got a new video that I'm going to share. So sit back and enjoy the video.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Lynn Shepard. Our family owns an online dollar store, familydollarstore.com. We have over 4.
We went mute.
Kim muted herself actually. Kim, you need to unmute.
If you spend $25 or more. And we also have a gift token program. Now, gift tokens are just like gift cards that you would get to shop at CVS, Target, Macy's, or a lot of other stores. And when you sign up to become a customer, you immediately get $5 worth of gift tokens to be able to use before you even make your very first purchase. So we encourage you to sign up to become a customer. We are here because we are supporting a not-for-profit, Money Masters PBS. Money Masters PBS owns IBM TV. Now, the mission of Money Masters PBS is to narrow the gap between poverty and financial sustainability. And they do that by providing financial education that results in financial fitness. When you shop at the online dollar store, you are saving money and you are supporting the mission of Money Masters PBS. And they are 2 of the 5 aspects that you learn on IBM TV that creates financial fitness, saving and paying forward. But you do it at the same time because when you order from our online dollar store, you're both saving money and you're supporting the mission of Money Masters PBS.
Hashtag EXTM3U hashtag extinct 0,2020-09-26 October 24th 53 Lynn Shepard Zoom meeting 9271.
There you go, guys. Oh my gosh, a ghost popped in, didn't it? I love those techie guys. But anyway, we can't do this without sponsorships. We thank the Family Dollar Store for doing this. What I want to share with people is you don't have to use this just for yourself. You can send a care package to someone else, like I'm going to be doing today, because there are people out there who are getting sick. They can't get out and get any help. You can send them some ramen noodles, which is kind of like a chicken soup, right? They got all kinds of great snacks and foods. But, just soaps and other things they could use. Another thing that we have discovered is Trump has cut the funding for the fires that were in California. So send somebody a care package that might need it in California. There's masks, right? Sanitagel, all kinds of essential needs, razors. So don't think that you have to use the dollar store just for yourself. If you know somebody's having a baby and you can't go visit them, there's all kinds of beautiful baby stuff. I've got 2 friends, their daughters are going to have babies in January, I think. And I'm packing them up in little gift packages and sending them from the dollar store, along with, hey, I'm going to give them a little $5. If you register, go get your $5. And but I'm going to send them $25 worth of baby stuff. And to me, that's really cool. Like, I got a package the other day. I got a package from Dr. Anthony, and it's in the kitchen now, but except this. But you know what? It's really cool if you're locked in at home and you get a package. So I'm going to send a package to Dr. Anthony because she sent me her book, right? And she sent me some Cajun spices. And so it's kind of fun when you're sitting at home and you get this box and you go, wow, okay, what's in it? A little treasure box. So I'm going to send Dr. Anthony something because I thought that was very, very fun to get something in the mail.
I'm waiting for a package from Dr. Anthony as well. She did pop into one of our shows and said that she was sending a package. So I'm assuming it's going to be some of the same stuff, but I'm looking forward to getting that package. And I know when I got that package from Lynn in the dollar store, I was quite pleased and all of that. And I'm going to wait for Ankit to tell me what his superhero is. If he can't figure out one, I'm going to assign him one. So he's laughing at me, so he hasn't figured out one.
At this point of time, for all of us, the superheroes are doctors. So I can't think anything beyond the doctors. Maybe a female doctor could be a superhero. Yeah.
Well, Xena had a little bit of doctor stuff on her as well. Xena, the warrior princess. So that's how I was going to assign you. I was going to make you Xena. So the Ankit is now Xena.
Okay.
Xena, but I just think that, and we got to wrap up. It's the top of the hour. But I want
to wrap up. We have to play one more video, and I'll just.
We also have Financial Friday, which is just starting, and I highly recommend. That looks like fun tonight.
That's going to be fun. And the ladies are going to be talking about something that we all can relate to. Wine and breakups. So like I said.
And this show is at 7 p.m. Today on Friday.
But isn't the lawyer stand on tonight too?
Lawson also is there today.
Yeah,
but
Bill's muted. Bill, you're muted.
Oh, I got it. There you go.
And also, as of now, we have started a show, Financial. And that's for the day. And tomorrow we have a lot of shows coming up. So I will just play tomorrow's intro before we wrap.
Just a
So
quick
that's the for tomorrow.
Yeah, just a quick announcement as we wrap up. Speaking of tomorrow, I've already heard, and I know he's put out on his Facebook pages, but on the Funk from the Front Seat, we will have a gentleman from the world-renowned group, the Mandrills, that will be joining us. So if you remember the old R&B group, the Mandrills, one of the gentlemen from that group will be appearing on Zach's show, and then a friend of ours that has appeared on many of our panels before will be appearing on Tish's show. So J.H. Kim will be Tish's special guest. So that'll be a great conversation that they'll be having as well.
Okay.
Awesome. Love to hear it.
Okay.
And thank you for joining us today on Medical Friday, and we'll see you tomorrow. And do join us on Financial Friday, and followed by a lot of other shows on IBM TV. Take care and stay blessed.